Okay, so The Matrix was released in March 31st, 1999. It was directed by the Wachowskis. The movie starred Keanu Reeves, Carrie-Anne Moss, Lawrence Fishburne, Hugo Weaving, Joe Pantoliano.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Fresh from his Goonies roundtable trip.
Mm-hmm,
so
yes.
We're really doing this podcast about Joe Pantoliano.
Yeah, we're just following his life, right?
Yeah, we're going to actually review every movie he's been into. So our next one is going to be Bound.
Yeah.
All right. The music was scored by Don Davis. The movie actually was budgeted really modestly. It was $63 million, but the movie grossed $466 million at the box office. And this is in 1999.
Pretty good haul.
It was a good haul. And The Matrix is a great example of cyberpunk subgenre, such as like movies like Blade Runner. You see Blade Runner?
You know what? I have not.
Well, maybe that's a movie you'll have to see.
Yeah, don't scorch me for it, please.
But you've seen Judge Dredd.
Years ago, yes.
Yeah. Well, that's Dark Matter's one of his favorite movies.
Sly Stallone, right?
Sly Stallone.
Yeah.
I think I personally prefer the Carl Urban one, the newer version.
Oh, I have not seen that one.
It's a good one. Okay. That'd be one I recommend. Then Alita and Battle Angel. So
one of my favorite films.
Yeah. And also, like, the Matrix kind of had a similarity to The Crow. And Dark City, that was a movie I always wanted to see. I hear great things about it. Actually, if you kind of look at the trivia there on IMDb, The Matrix and Dark City kind of shared sets. There was a set, because the films were actually filmed in Australia, both films. So, and of course, Blade. I thought a lot of this reminded me of Blade when I first saw it.
Wow, that sounds like a really good deal.
Anyways, 1999 was a big year in films. Star Wars Episode 1 came out. The Sixth Sense was released in that year. Toy Story 2, great movie. Tarzan, I love that one. Disney.
Yep, that was a good one.
That was a good one. Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me.
Very good.
you like Sleepy Hollow, a movie I like with Johnny Depp.
The King.
The Mummy, Brendan Fraser.
Oh, excellent.
So, just campy, fun stuff. A James Bond film, The World Is Not Enough. No one cares about that James Bond, to be honest with you. Well,
I like Pierce. I love Pierce.
Okay, you like Pierce. Is he your favorite James Bond?
Because I'm not huge into the James Bond genre. Like, I don't go deep into the 60s with it, But, so, like, I guess my upbringing, I saw a lot of Pierce, so he would be my James Bond.
Okay.
Yeah. Based on how, how I started watching.
You might have to set the coordinates a little further back and get you into some Sean Connery.
I know, right? Oh, I know. I'm sure they're great guys.
Well, anyways, 1999, Fight Club was released in that year. The Green Mile, Galaxy Quest, and Matrix actually was number 4 worldwide box office that year. Like, that's really well. It's in the top 5.
That's pretty good.
Like, that movie it hit. Now, when you first saw The Matrix, when did you first see The Matrix, and what was your first impression?
Well, 1999, I would have been a new father. I think I would have probably had a 1-year-old son by then, so...
Oh, you dirty dog.
Chances are I did not go to the theater to see it, because I probably couldn't afford it, but I probably watched it on DVD, went to Blockbuster, and, like the good old days, you went in there and perused around the video shelf and read the back of the synopsis of the film and, oh yeah, I like this one, I'll pick it up. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what I did, picked up The Matrix.
Yeah.
So watched it at home on probably my shitty tube TV, but that's neither here or there. But obviously I loved it so much that I ended up buying a copy because I loved it so much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's something about The Matrix. There's so many ways and routes people discover this movie. That's what's so great about it. Some people discovered it at the theater. Some people discovered it on home video medium. It doesn't matter but people discovered this movie. It's just one of those movies you heard by word of mouth. Like, for me, I remember seeing, actually my first glimpse of this movie was actually at a comic shop in the back of a comic book. I remember to this day, and I actually went and looked it up online. there's like with the marketing campaign, on the back of it had kind of like a fetus with a little unborn child hooked up to stuff. And you just seen like all these dark kind of mechanical like tubes, look like it was like inside like a
I
female
remember
womb.
that. I remember that.
And all you've seen is like, what is the Matrix? And you just like, and then you see Keanu Reeves and you see Lawrence Fishburne. So you're like, well, I like Keanu Reeves, I like Lawrence Fishburne. So what's not there? So that was like my first kind of glimpse into that. And then I just saw like the kick-ass trailers, and you're like, man, this looks like a really good action movie. So it's like, you know what? And back then in those days, we went to all kinds of movies. Like, it's not like, you know, like today we usually kind of go to the big tentpole movies when we do because it's so expensive, right?
Yeah.
But back then it was like, movie looks kind of cool. It's something to do. Let's go to it. And this was kind of one of those movies where let's go to a movie. I like Keanu Reeves. He's kind of dreamy. Let's go to it.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. So, and I was very blown away by this movie. This movie just like, I don't know. You're just like, when you went to it, like you're expecting it to be just a regular action movie, you know, has like some action pieces here. It's got Keanu Reeves doing his whoa, you know, kind of, you know, a little bit of his, because he gets a hard time being a wooden actor, but I think he's proven
he's great.
He's great. Mm-hmm. You know, so yeah. And the movie became a pop culture wide phenomenon, really, in 1999. Like, and the movie actually, I kind of was a little bit resistant to some of that because of episode 1, The Phantom Menace, because that was my movie.
That's where all your attention went.
That was all my attention. So this movie kind of diverted that from me. And this movie came out before The Phantom Menace. So when The Matrix was released, they got positive reviews. It was praised for its innovative visual effects, action sequences, and cinematography.
Yep.
You can tell, and as you learn, the action was heavily influenced by Japanese animation, martial arts films. They use actually fight choreographers and wire for like techniques like from Hong Kong action cinema. And so, anyways, it popularized bullet time. You remember like when he's shooting, like that movie. After you saw that, especially in this movie, every movie was copying it, right?
Yep.
And the thing is, I think I've seen a little bit of it. They do a little bit of the bullet time in Blade, I believe.
The first one?
Yeah, the first Blade. I believe it's when you've seen the first Blade, right?
I have.
Yeah. So there's like a scene there when I think it's the Stephen Dorff vampire. I don't know if they're at a cemetery or something, and he shoots at him, and he kind of dodges bullets in a different way. But okay. I thought that was, but I haven't seen that movie in so long.
It's been a long time.
I could be mistaken.
Yeah.
But anyways, you can look up what bullet time is and stuff. I don't think we need to explain it. I don't think we could do justice for it. But anyways, it's a cool action sequence. It kind of revolutionized movies, really, after this movie, especially The Matrix.
Yeah.
Because I kind of treat it like Michael Jackson did the moonwalk on live TV. He didn't create the moonwalk, but he popularized it. And I think that's what The Matrix did with bullet time.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Matrix ended up winning 4 Academy Awards. It won Best Visual Effects. This one was a surprise for me because I thought Star Wars Episode 1 Phantom Menace was a shoo-in.
But with the innovation, I mean, that puts it up there.
In my opinion, I still think The Phantom Menace and ILM dwarfs it, because my one critique of The Matrix, especially watching it now, they use a lot of dark shadows and that, so you can hide a lot of stuff. But also, I like that cyberpunk dark kind of, so it's almost, so it's okay. And then they won Best Editing, Best Sound, and Best Sound Editing. So this, and the thing is, like the action sound and it's great. And another thing is what I liked about this, and I think a lot of people, is that it draws heavily and alludes to numerous cinematic and literary works and concepts from mythology, religion, and philosophy, like such as Buddhism, Christianity, Hinduism, and Judaism. Like you can see it's totally tied. There's all kinds of like religious allegories in this movie.
Yeah, there is.
Okay, so I'm gonna go back to one thing when I was talking about the comic shop. This movie had a great marketing campaign with, like, especially in the early days of the internet. And I don't know, do you remember when you see like TV spots or trailers or anything that had the Matrix, it had like www.whatisthematrix.com. Do you remember that?
Vaguely.
Okay. Yeah, but this movie was back then. We didn't have this, but yeah. No, I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that is kind of cool.
Yeah.
That's like it's the early days of the World Wide Web, so there wasn't much you could really do other than put the address across, really.
And it was a really good way for like to get like fans' attention. You know, it got you like interacting, got you thinking, especially people that were like into the philosophical and like to kind of think, that were a little bit more on the uptake when it comes to movies and like the hidden meanings into stuff. This was great because it was like you're piecing, because the Dark Knight was heavily praised for its marketing campaign, and it kind of innovated that. And I thought episode 1, they were using the internet back then, and they had a great marketing campaign as well. So, but the Matrix is the one that really stands out.
Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life. That there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad. It is this feeling that has brought you to me. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Matrix.
Do you want to know what it is? The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth.
What truth?
That you are a slave, Neo.
Okay, and like I said, the film became a pop culture phenomenon. People were like quoting lines from it. Like, if you said you had deja vu, people would say, "Oh, it must be a glitch in the Matrix."
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then also those phones, those kind of sliding phones, that Nokia 8110 mobile phone, it became a kind of a popular item and stuff. You'd see.
Sure.
In my small city, I saw people with those phones back then.
Man, it'd be like carrying a switchblade.
It kind of was. You know, people would do that. Like, it was like they were almost like. And then also, though, like those big dusters or those long black coats. I like those because it reminded me of like those big dusters they wore in like those Sergio Leone westerns and all those western movies and stuff. And you'd see teenagers wearing them. So, and also like at this time, DVDs, the late 90s, was kind of a new format to watch movies. I had a friend that first time I ever like witnessed, because I was still watching VHS.
Yeah.
I know people had laser discs.
Yeah.
But then DVDs, and it was at his place, and you're over there, and he had The Matrix. And he's like, you're looking at, like, what is this? He goes, that's a DVD. And I just knew.
What's a DVD?
Yeah, what's a DVD? And looking at this, and the thing is, at first, I wasn't sold on it. I'm like,
Who was? Who was, really?
Yeah. Yeah, but the movie was basically a catalyst for people to move from VHS and Laserdisc to DVD. And then The Matrix, also this movie led to other groundbreaking ideas, because they did the 2 sequels. They did video games, the Enter the Matrix. Do you remember that? Did you play that?
I did not play it, but I do hear there's a lot of lore and storytelling in the video game, which is true to canon. Right. So it's a part of canon. And
wasn't also it was also famous for the Matrix Online kind of campaign?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was like, not that it was the first online campaign, but it was one of the more kind of popular one that people...
Yeah. And then don't forget the animated series that came out, the Animatrix, I believe.
The Animatrix, yeah. Yeah, and this, I've never seen it, but I've always wanted to see it. I've never got my hands on it.
I know, I need to get some, because I feel like there's a lot of storytelling in there that we've missed out on.
Yeah, and you believe it or not, I've never owned it on physical copy. I've never owned it on VHS. I've never owned it on DVD, Blu-ray whatsoever.
Yeah.
I just finally...
I had the DVD trilogy, but since I'm able to get better quality ones now digitally, I might as well just keep those. But yeah.
Like, I can't believe, because I love, like, especially this movie, I loved it, and I'm looking forward to rewatching the other ones. But the Animatrix really really expanded the world of the Matrix.
Yeah, like it's basically like what Clone Wars is to Star Wars. The Animatrix is to the Matrix.
Yeah, and like you see, especially with Animatrix, you're seeing today properties. IPs that are doing kind of the same thing, because look at The Witcher. The Witcher is going on a second season, and they have a prequel animated movie, and you're kind of seeing this where they're expanding these universes and stuff for the person, because sometimes you just can't fit it all in a season or in a movie. So again, groundbreaking. Like the Wachowskis are very groundbreaking. So a little bit, if you kind of go back, if you watch, I was watching some of the extras on the DVD and the making of it and how the Wachowskis kind of came about this. Well, the Wachowskis in the early 90s were writing for comic books, which makes sense, right?
Yep.
Because The Matrix, it just feels like some type of Japanese comic book.
It does.
And they actually did they wrote for Marvel, actually. They wrote, I think it was Echo Kid or something was there.
Oh.
Yeah, so
okay.
There's kind of a Marvel connection. And then they wrote some stories for Hellraiser and Nightbreed, which was based on Clive Barker's work. You know, the Hellraiser guy, the Pinhead. Are you kind of familiar?
Never saw Hellraiser, but I heard about it.
Yeah, Clive Barker was kind of famous for those kind of, I don't know, esoteric kind of, I don't know, I can't explain it. That's not really mine, but now it kind of makes sense. You see kind of some of the imageries, and like with the long coats and the leather, you saw with Pinhead and those kind of creatures and stuff, so kind of like, okay, yeah. And then, like we said, the Wachowskis are huge fans of Hong Kong cinema, science fiction, Japanese animation, and these three things led them to write the conceptual for the Matrix. And actually, I don't know if you knew, but at the time they were actually going to write, the Matrix was going to be a comic book. A comic series.
Oh, that would have been awesome.
But they ended up developing it into a bigger thing, because they both were trying to get into filmmaking.
Yeah.
So Dave Filoni, eh?
Yeah. Yeah, how do you... Yeah, that's crazy, like how you pitch that to get it, you know, you don't have a lot of background stuff for the Matrix, but maybe the script just wowed them so good that that they were like, yeah, do it. Let's do it.
Well, that's kind of what really happened. And I never knew this, but they wrote 3 scripts, and they probably were shopping around, and I think they took it to Warner Brothers, and they had 3 scripts. One was Assassins. That's with Sly Stallone and Antonio Banderas. I've never seen the movie. I heard it was kind of like a really bad film.
Okay.
But you actually, you find out, and so they presented this to Warner Brothers in 94, and Joe Silver, who's actually the producer of the Matrix films, he got involved and yada yada. But Assassins, kind of, when they did the film and stuff, it went with lots of rewrites. So it basically wasn't really their story. And then it was taken over like for directing, because the Wachowskis wanted to direct that, but they gave it to Richard Donner.
Okay.
But the movie was like a mess and stuff.
Talked about Richard Donner before.
Yes. Yes, sir. Richard Donner. Yeah. But their second script that they gave, they actually got to direct it, and it became a critical and financial success. And they only had like a $3 million budget. So the success of this movie, Bound, led to the studios to agree for the Wachowski brothers to write and direct The Matrix, and they got a significant budget, $63 million. So, yeah, that's kind of, you know, based on the success of Bound, they got to do this. But I think they were worried that a movie like this, probably for a studio, there was lots of comprehension. You have new, second movie directors, a huge budget. They're unproven.
Yeah.
You could almost worry that the movie would have been taken from them, like another director, or they would have been heavily edited. Your usual run-of-the-mill kind of action film. But it wasn't. The movie was very deep in philosophical themes. And I think one of the problems with the studio about doing this film is that they thought a lot of people couldn't understand these themes. That was a concern earlier on in the filming. And will the general audience get it? Because usually filmmakers and a lot of studios think the general audience is kind of
stupid. Yeah.
And they are.
They really don't give the audience enough credit. Like, if you want a successful film, you need to let the audience think a little bit. Yeah. And that's what intrigues people to come back and watch your stuff again. Yeah. Or continue watching your franchise. So don't just put out, like, dumb, lazy shit out there. Like, put out stuff that's going to make you think. You know, even when you leave the theater and, like, say you're with someone and they go, yeah, I thought this was, you know, I thought when he said that it meant this. And he goes, no, because when I heard him say it, I thought he meant that. So, like, it's always good to have a difference in opinion in films, and it creates discussion, and it creates fandom, and then that's how you get the rise of a film. So you just need that discussion, and that starts from making a film that makes you think a little. It
does, and then it really helps when you have the people that are making the film, say the directors or the writers, and they're very passionate, and they're very, you know, they make you believe in what they're doing, and that's what the Wachowskis did. And they storyboarded the whole film. Because in those days, in a lot of films, they didn't just storyboard everything. Like, you know, they would storyboard, like, certain action sequences or certain big stuff that would cost a lot of the budget. Well, they did the whole movie in storyboards. And I believe, like, George Lucas did this with the prequels. And that gave the studio huge confidence in the Wachowskis. So, and then, they're off and running. And then they went and filmed in Australia because they probably get bang for their buck for their budget. Yeah. And this goes into now casting the film. And this is pretty knowledge, and you and I were kind of talking about this. In the early stage of casting, Will Smith was kind of initially was offered the role. Right. And did you know he turned it down for another movie that came out in 1999, was The Wild Wild West?
Oh, right. So another cyberpunk western.
A cyberpunk western, big budget. Yep. I don't know, man. Like, I'm glad he did because.
Well, me too. For sure.
You know, I like Will Smith.
Well, hindsight's 2020. We're in the future now. We're looking back on a film. Yeah. So we really don't know how it would have been with Will Smith. Maybe he could have pulled it off. I don't know. Yeah. Honestly, I don't know. You know, we would be sitting here thinking, "Wow, I wish Keanu Reeves would have got the job." But we don't know.
I think Will Smith, I know he might have been at that time a little younger, but I think he would have been better suited as a Morpheus type character. Like, kind of still leading. He might have been at that time a little young to play.
Maybe a little young.
Because, like a mentor and stuff. But I don't know. I don't see it. But again, hindsight's 2020.
Exactly. But, having seen what we've seen, you and I can both agree that the casting is just one of the highlights of the film.
It is. And another person that was considered for it was actually Nicolas Cage. Would you believe that?
Oh, God.
You imagine him playing it like the accent he had in, like, Con Air?
Oh. Put the Bonnie back in the box. No way.
And actually, apparently, Johnny Depp was the Wachowski's first choice.
I mean, I'm sure he would have done okay. Johnny Depp is an amazing actor. Mm-hmm. There is nothing really he can't do. Like, he's proven he can do anything. Yeah. So I suppose he could have done this, but I'm just glad that we got what we got, and I'm happy that we're talking about it today.
So am I. And so this leads us to Keanu Reeves. So then they finally, let's get Keanu Reeves. And the thing is, it makes sense with Keanu Reeves because he was in Point Break. I've never seen that movie. That's a movie on my to-see list.
I've seen it, but I don't remember a lot of it, but I did see it.
And then Speed. So you can tell he's had a lot of experience with action genres with that.
Yeah, what was that one that he was in with Morgan Freeman? Do you remember that one?
Chain Reaction.
Another good kind of an action film type, Good.
And actually, he was in a cyberpunk genre type movie that I think it's called Johnny Mnemonic.
Never seen it. I heard about it, but I'd never seen that one.
My dad and I were watching that like a while ago. It's nowhere in the quality of The Matrix or some of these other films, but it is a kind of interesting concept.
Okay, what's it about?
I don't know if I can explain it, but basically, it's a guy that has a program that's inserted into his head, and people want it. It's a future, but I don't know. It's...
Like really campy?
I don't know. I just watched maybe the first 20 minutes of it. So
Okay.
if someone, you might have to, but yeah. But
I might have to check it out one day.
But anyways, the point is that cyberpunk genre, he knows this niche.
Yeah, he's good at it.
Yeah. And then Morpheus, Lawrence Fishburne, obviously was cast as him.
Amazing.
Well, yeah, he. I don't know how you could. He's the Obi-Wan of this trilogy.
He really is.
Yeah.
He really is. He plays the father figure to Neo.
Yeah.
He really does. He's awesome.
And I don't think he's that much older than Keanu Reeves in real life.
No, maybe not. No.
Like he plays like a good big brother, but he has such gravitas that you believe him that he could be like a father. Every word he says, and then his look, like Lawrence Fishburne has like a look of authority. You just when you see him, and everything I've seen him, I remember seeing him in not Boys to Men, Boys in the Hood,
ABC DVD,
Boys in the Hood, or he was in Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3. Everything I would see him, he was in actually Apocalypse Now. He's really young in that film, but everything he's in there, he has a look. There's just something about Lawrence Fishburne that you're just drawn to him. Anything he does, whether he plays like a Morpheus type character, or he plays just like a straight protagonist, or even an antagonist, you just enjoy him.
At times in this franchise, he is my favorite character.
Oh,
he really is.
Yeah, it'll be interesting in the Resurrections, but anyways, we'll get to that later in this podcast. Interesting, he wasn't the first choice in this movie. One choice was initially Samuel L. Jackson.
Hey, motherfucker!
Yeah. Can you imagine?
And you will know my name is the Lord.
Anyways, I think it would be interesting as Samuel Jackson.
Sure.
Samuel Jackson, like he's fantastic.
But he's very flamboyant, and I think Morpheus isn't a flamboyant character. I just wonder if Sam could pull it off. I don't know. Hard to say.
Very, very true. This rumor was debunked, but there was a rumor that Sean Connery was going to be cast as Morpheus in this, but that was debunked.
Yeah.
But there is a long-standing thing with Sean Connery. He turned down so many like big mainstream movies. He was actually, I think they wanted him to play Gandalf. He turned that down. And
I think that one he could pull off.
He could.
Yeah.
But he turned that one down. And that was what kind of led him to eventually doing the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
I love that movie. That's actually a fun movie.
I think I prefer the graphic novel, but
okay.
I'd have to.
I'm not a reader, so we know.
No doubt, eh? But yeah, anyways, another person that they initially were going to offer to, and to me, this would have been a really interesting one, Gary Oldman. Because I always like Gary Oldman's like the chameleon, in my opinion.
Right.
He can play anything. He can go in makeup. He's just one of those guys, or just those actors that you can whatever. It's a small bit.
Johnny Depp for me, I think too. He really can.
Yeah,
maybe not as good as Gary.
No,
Oldman.
Johnny Depp is way more mainstream known. Like he's a bigger star.
True.
So it's hard, like, Johnny Depp, he's very diverse as an actor.
Yeah.
But Gary Oldman's one of those guys, I didn't know he was in Hannibal, because his names weren't in the credit, he wasn't promoted.
Okay.
So I didn't know at first when I first watched Hannibal. I'm like, this freaking Gary Oldman? Because his names are not in the credit. His name's not in the credit.
Well, so, like, where was he in Hannibal?
He plays a guy that, like, eats himself, or he's all scarred up, and he wants to get revenge on Hannibal.
Oh.
I don't know if his name's Mason or something.
Okay.
I'm butchering the names.
Okay, that's fine.
Sure people know that. Just, you can go look it on Wikipedia. I don't know that, but he was really good in that, like everything. So I thought he'd be interesting playing, and because if you look back on him playing Sirius Black, he can play a mentor character that guides the hero. So it'd be interesting what he could do. I would have been interested in seeing Gary Oldman as Morpheus, but like you said, Lawrence Fishburne. Yeah,
hands down.
Hands down. And then we get Carrie-Anne Moss that plays Trinity. And basically, she didn't really do too much before this. This is the movie that really made her, put her on the map.
Yeah, no, she was wonderful. She was awesome. And not bad to look at either. She was great.
Yeah, she wasn't bad. But be honest with you, this is like my one criticism. Well, maybe my one criticism of The Matrix. It was kind of hard to see her as this, because maybe I'll get into late, like she's supposed to be this all loving of Neo and stuff, and I don't know if it's because you grew up in that futuristic world and stuff. She kind of came off really kind of cold. Not that I loved it.
You mean at first? I mean,
well, throughout the whole, I didn't really buy this across the stars love relationship between the two.
No, I mean, it wasn't. No, you're right. It wasn't like that. Like, it wasn't like, a rom-com or something where they're like head over heels over each other. But you could see that she did look after him. Like she always she brought him food and So
maybe we'll touch on that when we
we'll get into that. But I'm just saying that it showed that she did care. Maybe not in a flamboyant way, but it wasn't really out there. But she did.
Maybe I was focusing more on the dialogue and the way what the dialogue could mean. But anyways, I love her in the movies. I have nothing wrong, anything against her, what she acted and what she did. I just thought the character, the way they described her and the way the character was like, she's not that. But that's my only criticism in this movie. But she's great. And did you know that actually Janet Jackson was initially...
Oh, boy. I got nothing to say.
I mean, she's an actor. She's made quite a few feature films, so...
Nah. She's not for me for acting. I mean, did I listen to her her albums on my cassette player back to back? Yeah, for sure I did. But for acting, I don't really care for her.
Yeah.
She can sing all day.
No, I think they went with Carrie-Anne Moss was the right choice. So she's and I anyways we'll go into this one of my next part after, but let's finish off with Hugo Weaving as Agent Smith.
Brilliant.
He's the Sentinel being he's the villain.
Yep. He's like one of the greatest villains.
And like you said, outside of Lawrence Fishburne, I think Hugo Weaving steals every scene he's in.
He is very captivating. I can't look away. Like, he is amazing.
Just how he spoke, and acted and stuff.
His speech was just, like I said, captivating. It just drew you in. You could not look away when he talked. It was amazing.
Yeah. And did you know initially the role was offered to John Reno? The hitman in The Professional. Do you know who John
I did not watch The Professional.
Gary Oldman is awesome in that movie. He steals the show as the villain. And that has the film debut of Natalie Portman, who equally almost steals the show. Oh. And it's a great show. And he's kind of famous for that. But he was, and I'm glad because I like him as an actor, but I don't think the type of actor he is would have been a right fit for Morpheus. Not Morpheus. Agent Smith. Just Hugo Weaving all the way.
Yep.
Okay, so now that they have the cast was required to understand and explain the Matrix. So to do this, before they got a script, especially the main ones, they had to read 3 books. This would help them to fully understand the themes that were presented by the Wachowskis in the movies.
That's a really good idea. Just saying, do a lot of filmmakers do that to their actors and actresses? Do they kind of provide them with some literature to kind of get into the world?
Well, it's very interesting because depending on the type of movie or who's involved with it, that might determine. But usually movies, it's like time is against them.
Right.
So, but some filmmakers like Francis Ford Coppola kind of comes, he's like a director, you can think of people that come from Val Kilmer comes from the Juilliard or whatever, the school.
Right.
They went to school. I don't know where Francis Ford Coppola, I don't know if he went to the same director's school that George Lucas and Brian De Palma all did. But
okay.
Anyways, he would like to rehearse one of his movies. So he'd like to get together with the cast and rehearse it. Kind of like, like opera or a play. Rehearse it and stuff. But a lot of times a lot of actors or people don't do it or time.
Yeah.
And then also actually Alfonso Cuarón, who directed the third Harry Potter film, The Prisoner of Azkaban, when he came over and took over for Christopher Columbus, he went to both Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, and Rupert Grint, who played Harry, Hermione, and Ron, and he got them to requested them to write an essay about who they think their character is at that point. And
That's cool.
So yeah, I guess it depends on the filmmaker.
Yeah.
And stuff. Some will go that extra mile. Because I think if you listen to Mark Hamill, anytime he talks about the classic Star Wars or even that, in his mind, he kind of develops a backstory for the character. even though it's not on screen, but it helps him emote and all this and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of that. So the 3 books, this one that was at the Simulacra and Simulation,
Right.
and we see this actually in the movie where it hides Neo's little hacking discs. So
Yes.
you see it pretty blatantly. So I thought that was kind of a cool little.
That's a cool Easter egg, yeah.
Yeah, and then one's Out of Control, and the other one is Evolutionary Psychology. And if you look these up, you can understand why the Wachowskis got the actors to read these books and stuff, because it really does tie to the themes and the philosophy of their script.
Mm-hmm. Now that you say that the other books, I may have to go rewatch that scene where he's in his room and see if I can point out those other books maybe hiding
Well, it's
somewhere.
possible, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, another great thing about The Matrix is they hired a Chinese martial arts choreographer and film director, Un Wun Ping. And he's famous for making movies with Jackie Chan, a bunch of his.
Nice.
One I really like, and I don't know if you've seen this, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Have not.
Yeah, you gotta see that one.
Don't roast me.
But the Kill Bill. The Kill Bill films. You've seen those.
Not yet. Don't roast me. Move on.
See what I'm dealing with here? This is arduous, but okay. Okay. So, all right. Now, when they brought in Un Wun Ping, and I apologize if I'm not pronouncing the name right. English is my first language, but obviously I have not mastered it. But he thought, the filmmakers, the Wachowskis thought, well, 4 months of training and choreographing and all this is all they need. And Wing thought, we only need 2. But then when he observed the actors and actresses, he realized they didn't even know how to throw a punch or a kick. And they were very unfit.
Oh, wow.
You know, not like, probably like fit to have those long sequence fights.
Yeah.
So he used every 4 months.
Nice.
And actually, to make things worse, prior to pre-production, Keanu Reeves suffered a 2-level fusion of his cervical spine.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. Which actually started to cause paralysis in his legs. And you can imagine his legs, you're making a movie like this, like fudge.
Really?
Yeah. So he had to undergo neck surgery, recovering. So he was recovering, and now they're in pre-production. You know, Reeves, like the kind of caliber person
he's a hard worker.
He insisted on to train, and he could not kick for 2 months out of the 4 months training.
Wow.
Like, you imagine just having neck surgery and all this, and now you're making this heavily action choreographed film. And if you notice, he didn't kick much in the film. Also, you can see he doesn't really move his head at all during the fights. If you stop and really kind of think about it...
Now I have to watch for that.
Yeah, so now you gotta go back.
Why did you tell me this before?
Yeah. Well, this is the best part of it.
I know, we save it for the podcast.
Because you don't, until you know this or find out this information, you don't think of it, you don't watch it, because everything's so seamless, you're so caught up in the characters and the actions.
And the story.
And now, but you really think, he does kick people here or there, but he mostly doesn't. He usually...
It's a lot of punching.
A lot of punching and a lot of guns.
Oh, I love the guns.
Wing also... This is kind of... I really found this tidbit very interesting. He wrote the actor's fight style based on certain things that he found. So he found with Reeves, he wrote diligence. He wrote for Fishburne, resilience. He wrote for Hugo Weaving, precision. And it makes sense because when you watch him punch, everything is precise. He doesn't waste any punches.
Yep.
And I thought Carrie Ann Moss's was the most interesting. Feminine grace. And like what he said, he let their body develop.
Yep.
And then he worked with each to build their strengths. And another thing is about this film, like Carrie Ann Moss hurt her ankle. Weaving actually had to have hip surgery.
No way.
Yeah. So,
wow.
And then obviously the fight stunt people, a bunch of them got hurt.
Yeah.
So lots of injuries.
Yeah.
So that's about it for a little of those extra tidbits on The Matrix.
That's some good stuff.
I know Kung Fu.
Show me.
Okay then, that will conclude part 1 of our Matrix Roundtable, and we look forward to you joining us for part 2 as we take a deeper dive down the rabbit hole that is the Matrix. So, hold on to your butts, because this time, Turk and I head even further down the rabbit hole. Okay, so now you and I recently both did a rewatch of The Matrix. You kind of revealed to me that this is actually one of those movies that you usually watch once a year, right?
I would go out on a limb and say twice a year.
Twice a year.
Yeah.
So you like Matrix.
Yeah, it's a semi-annual film for me.
Okay, nice. Kind of like with Star Wars with me.
Yeah. Yep.
And do you watch just The Matrix or do you watch the whole trilogy?
I try and watch the whole trilogy, but like if say I watch The Matrix and then too much time goes by and I'm like, well, do I want to get into Reloaded? Nah, I'll just go back to The Matrix and watch that one again. So like, I don't always watch them in order all the time. It's like, if I know I'm gonna like say, okay, I'm gonna hunker down this weekend, I got lots of time, I'm gonna watch the whole trilogy, I'll do it. But if it's just a once in a blue moon thing, it'll just mostly be The Matrix. So I've probably seen the original film more than I've seen number 2 and number 3.
Yeah. Most of the times that's the case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the first one's just the best, right?
Well, it is. Like, it is the best.
It is the best.
Out of the 3.
Yeah.
So I'm not like that. I have not seen this movie in years. Not because I didn't want to. It's just one of those things I've never got around to.
Out of mind. Basically.
Out of mind.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And also, but now watching it here recently, I really got reminded how much I really like this film. Actually, how much I actually love this film. Like this time around, I found myself so enthralled back into it. I'm like, man, this is a damn good movie. It's like the first Terminator movie to me because they're very similar in my mind. They're both kind of a future dystopia.
Yeah.
Mankind has been basically eliminated or enslaved by artificial intelligence.
Diminished severely. Yeah.
Diminished. And I think, like, in the past, I always was a little more, especially with Terminator 1 and 2, like them more than The Matrix. Because one thing about when you get into the real world stuff, they're in pods, so the humans, they're enslaved and all this, but like in the Terminator, it just looks like the machines are just there to eliminate the humans, period.
Yes.
So it seemed more dire to me.
It's a bit different, yeah.
The consequences of that film, just, the stakes were higher to me, but I don't know, the stakes are pretty big in The Matrix.
Yes, they are.
But it was great to rewatch it. I found myself kind of just swept back into it.
Yeah, it really is a whole universe, You can kind of compare it to Star Wars, but not really. But in a way, it's a Star Wars to some people, and I'll say that maybe it's kind of my Star Wars in a way. I really enjoy watching all of them. There's a lot of stuff in there that I can see in the real world, like a lot of symbolism. And this movie is infused with tons of symbolism, don't you think?
Is it ever? Yeah, so it was great to watch it again. So let's get right into the movie as we saw.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. I really like how, and this is what I really like about Warner Brothers, is their logo is always, like with the Harry Potter, Batman movies, they always manipulate it, and The Matrix is no different. We get right off the bat a green tint and clouds.
And some screechy sounds, I think.
And you get that iconic computer code flickering. I just love that.
It's like the sound of a fax machine all the time.
Yeah, and like you said, like symbols and symbology, you get these descending vertical codes of symbols. It's reoccurring. Like these descending vertical symbols is reoccurring throughout the film in all kinds of facets.
Oh, is it ever? Yeah. Yep.
And then we hear like a communication call between Trinity and Cypher, and he has like he's questioning her feelings towards her. As you can see, he's like, "You like him?" So this kind of is right off the bat kind of foreshadowing something.
It is.
Yeah.
And in Cypher's voice, you can already hear a little guy. He's always up to something. Just what's in his voice. He's always up to something.
Yeah, but he plays it so like you. He's kind of sweet about it. Like there's a sincerity to his nefarious activities.
Right.
Like you don't know, but you're like, well, he's kind of, look at him. He's not that bad. He just, tried to kill us, but, he had his reasons, right?
Yeah.
And in the dialogue you hear, he's warning Trinity that they're going to kill him. So they're talking, he's talking about killing Neo.
Right.
So I thought that was kind of some interesting dialogue. And then she hears something in the code and cipher, but assures her it's clear. And but as it isn't, and this is foreshadowing. He's right here. It's foreshadowing his portrayal and some jealousy of Neo and Trinity.
I picked up on that too. Yeah.
And then we get this awesome character reveal with Trinity.
Yeah.
And you see those iconic camera techniques that still to this day is parodied, but never duplicated.
Nope, that's great filmmaking.
Yeah, just great. And then I like how the arrival of the agents come, and you see the police officers. So these agents come out there, and they look like they're CIA. You don't know. Okay, there's some big deal.
Yeah.
And then the police officer told them, we got this handled. It's just a piddly little girl in there, and the agent's like, no, your men are already dead.
Now, before we move on, I want to say that as you're watching this film, you'll notice, do not adjust your color on your TV screen, because the whole film is shot with a green tint over it. Like, literally every shot is either super dark or with a light green tint over it. Don't adjust your TV because it's not broken. It's the theme of the film. All in green.
Yeah, all in green, especially when they're in the Matrix.
Especially. But, yeah, you're right.
Well, when they're in the real world, there's like a blue tint.
Yes.
And then when they're in that one part with the program or the construct of them training, it's kind of yellow, like for the martial arts.
Right. In the Matrix, it's green. Yes, you're right.
Yeah. So we get a hint right there when the agent tells the cops that your men are already dead. It tells you right there that this person that they're apprehending is extremely dangerous.
Yeah.
This piddly little girl, right? And I really like in this scene, you don't really know if she's good or bad. You don't know quite.
You don't know who's the good guy or the bad guy.
Yeah. But what you do understand is she's got power, smart, and could be in love. So those are like three things you right there get there, but you don't entirely know her motives. And as the scene kind of trickles out, you see a chase ensue. Well, before that, she talks to Morpheus, or this person, and tells her that there's agents there, and she's like, shit, and tells her she can still get out. So you see her running, and then you see the cops and the agents, and then you see this Trinity doing these like death-defying, unbelievable, like physics person could not do these kind of things, and you see these agents doing supernatural things right off the bat.
Yeah, in that scene where the cops surround her in that room as she's sitting.
Oh yeah,
remember when they come in there and she's just like chill. She's like, she knows she's getting out. She's gonna kick all their asses. When she starts, fighting them, and then they start firing at her, and she's kind of running, and doing flips on the wall and shit, and then she's dropping back down, and then she does that big jump up in the air, and then the camera freezes, and then it kind of pans around her as she's like hanging in the air, and then does that kick like right away that tells you, okay, this is the physics of the movie. They can do this, like, because you don't know that what they're capable of until at this moment. This is the first moment that you see Trinity tell you, like, basically, this is the physics of the film. This is how, we can fight. So, prepare to see more of this in the film.
But as we learn that these physics only apply to certain people,
yes.
Up to this point, you're like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
But as you learn, these types of physics do not actually apply to certain people.
Right.
Such as the Trinity and Co. and the agents. It's a little bit different. And I like going back to symbology. You can see at the hotel door it says 303, I believe, or 306. I can't remember. It is fresh, but not fresh. But
how dare you?
Yeah, there's numbers, and I'm sure. I was kind of listening to the audio commentary, and on the DVD there, the Blu-ray, the audio commentary has these two philosophers kind of talking, and now if you want to listen to someone really break down the symbology, the allegories, I highly recommend this. And I also highly recommend, if you want to know a little bit more about this, is go to Matrix Explained. They'll break down all this stuff. Turk and we're not going to jump into all that stuff.
We're not pros. No.
I never took philosophy in school, so...
No.
Or symbology, so... it's not our realm. But there's so many, like, hidden meanings throughout this movie, that everything has a story, it has a meaning. And I really like this scene in particular where, like, Trinity, where she's jumps through the window and she rolls down the stairs and she's aiming her guns at the window. And she just jumped through the expecting an agent. And you hear her kind of willing herself to move. Like, she's talking to herself, okay, move. They're coming, like, time is wasting. I thought it was a really brilliant scene showing her fear of the agents and how scared and she's running on instinct. She is when she is fleeing. It is a great way to showcase how terrifying the agents really are right off the bat. And then, she finds the phone booth and runs to it. There's a dump truck. All of a sudden, it screeches. Kind of remind me of the first Terminator movie. There's always like a dump truck or a semi.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of comparisons, as I kind of mentioned before. And then, the agent runs through the phone booth with the garbage truck, and she gets away.
Well, I'll just say before that, as the chase ensues across the building the tops of the building, they're leaping over building to building, right? And the cops can only chase so far, and then the agents, obviously Trinity makes that big jump, and then the agent makes that big jump, and the cop is like, that's impossible. Yeah. So, like, right there, that tells you, okay, so normal people, like you said, not everybody is capable of those physics, but only certain people are. So that basically affirms that, only a few people are able to do it.
And you see it really, like, handedly where Trinity is running up on those rafters, like where they descend, like the incline and decline. She's running very fluidly, like the Roadrunner. Yeah. And then the agent is doing the same, but then you see the police right there. They're struggling. They're struggling. They're tripping. So you see that there's a difference with these two individuals compared to the rest. Like, there's
huge attention to detail in this. Huge.
Yeah. And then I think another when I was watching the commentary, I paid a little more attention that in that room she has a laptop, and probably the agents get that she has information because she's watching Neo. So either Cypher or whatever, but they have information of this Neo. This is what's so great about this movie is the first 5 minutes we kind of get that Cypher's motive, Trinity's abilities, the power of the agents. They are not only like their physical strength and their physics defying abilities, but also their power structure. Like you know that they are the police and law. And then we get kind of an intro to Morpheus. Kind of, he's this, I don't want to say an iconic character, but he's this, he's the leader and an important individual searching for the so-called one. It's establishing that Neo's a very important player in this movie. So right off 5 minutes, this movie sets up shit big time really well.
Yeah. Well, one thing I'll notice is when Trinity was at the phone booth and then she was able to escape the Matrix. It's funny that they're using landlines to escape the Matrix, you know, with all the technology that they're using. Like, they use cell phones to pinpoint their location, but they can't escape the Matrix with a cell phone. They must use a landline.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. I don't know. I just thought it was kind of cool. Kind of mixing old tech with new tech, you know. It's kind of cool. I like it.
Why did Superman change in the...
Exactly.
The phone booth and stuff?
Yeah.
You know, you didn't want anyone to see his identity.
Yeah. So, no, I thought it was kind of neat.
Yeah, it is kind of neat.
Because they're plugged in, eh? So
yeah, they're plugged in. And it's almost like those landlines, especially like those phone booths, are like portals, like they're warping into there. They could kind of
for so many
them out of there.
Yeah, for so many movies they are.
Yeah. I don't know if that was done by purposely by, or it's just a cool effect. Not sure what the Wachowskis were kind of going, because with them you don't know, there's all kinds of like hidden meanings to everything they do.
Yeah, it's not just a phone booth too, because there are other landlines that they can access in buildings to get out of the Matrix.
No, that's true.
It's not always a phone booth.
Well, no,
mostly it is,
but it's a great effect.
Yeah,
it
is a great
I'm going
effect.
is the effect of it. It is kind of cool, and then also, hey, you know, when the garbage truck hits it, it looks so much, you know, more.
That's amazing. Oh, for sure. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, so that's like right off the bat, a great way to introduce a movie. And now we get her introduction to Neo, and we see a screen searching a pic of Morpheus. So right off the bat, we know this Morpheus is looking for this Neo, and then now we're seeing that this character played by Keanu Reeves is searching for Morpheus. And you see on the screen, I like how the screen is back then, the internet, because I remember like looking up information on there, you get these black and white photos and stuff, and this information, and it's like a newspaper clipping.
Well, it's like the microfiche. You know what a microfiche is? You know when you can go to the library?
Yeah.
And you put a newspaper clipping under it and magnified it for you? Yeah. And you could, basically read the whole news article and whatnot. It was awesome. Like,
we're having some technical difficulties here.
Oh no, we're good. I like that. It's basically what that was. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I really like that. That reminded me so much of Vicky Vale in Batman '89 when she's looking up information, Bruce Wayne and Crime Alley and all that, and you have that, and she's going through them. It's just something really like eerie and foreboding of that.
Yep.
Yeah. So we know Morpheus is a wanted man. And we see Thomas Anderson is searching for him. Double meaning, Neil is searching for the answers, and Morpheus is searching for him. I don't know.
You don't know what you were thinking there?
I don't know what I was thinking there.
Okay.
Something. Okay, so, yeah. Neil is asleep at his computer desk. I noticed that the images appear to be like Matrix green code. Like, and this is like we're talking about the Matrix green code is throughout the show in so many different kind of iterations. You just see it coming down, and I noticed that right off the bat. You see him sleeping around technology. Like, you see how full his computer is. He's got all kinds of stuff, keyboards and all this. And then a message appears, and it says, "Wake up, Neil." And then he wakes up right away.
Yep.
Wake up, Neil could, the literally wake up. Like, and the thing is that wake up, Neil means wake up, or like wake up literally, like I said, or wake up from the facet of life that he's living.
Yes.
So double meaning. I think that's where I was going with that other thing to my notes.
Yeah.
That Matrix has you. So like it's really kind of like this foreboding kind of message, and kind of, be kind of creepy.
Yeah.
And then it says follow the white rabbit, and that's our first reference to Alice in Wonderland, a story of a girl who follows a rabbit in a hole and enters into another world.
Yeah.
And that's what happens to Neo.
So he gets a knock on the door, and these interesting looking people show up and looking for a program, I'm assuming. It's a program that I don't know, did he, like, what is this program? I wasn't really sure what the program was that he handed them, but anyways, they paid good money for it. It was like a couple of grand.
Yeah.
And they looked like they were out to have a good time, and they noticed that Neo was looking pretty tired and whatnot, and they're like, "Hey, you should come out with us." And then he's like, "Yeah, no, I got things to do." And then I don't know, somehow they coaxed him into going out, and he remembered Trinity saying follow the white rabbit, and he noticed the girl with the white rabbit tattoo on her shoulder, so that's what coaxed him out.
Yeah, and it's funny, like when he's talking to them, he looks back at the computer, he sees the writing, then he looks away and the writing's gone.
Yeah.
And so he's confused. He's like, am I dreaming this? Is this real?
Yeah.
And that's kind of like, well, you're living in a fantasy world.
Yeah.
And because he knows something's not right. That's why he's searching for this Morpheus, because he can't put his foot on it, but there's something wrong. And that's where that book with the simulacra and simulation, where he hides his hacking. We don't know what type of hacking devices is he giving these people.
I don't know exactly.
All he knows he's broke every virtual crime possible.
Yeah, they're not good hacking. Yeah, maybe there are ways to get into like banks and shit. I don't know.
And again, this goes back to the double meaning where, you know, Neil like lives as a hacker by night and lives as a software developer, Thomas Anderson.
Yeah.
And I like when he goes back to like when the guy that he gives the code to and the lady with the white rabbit tattoo, you know, asks him, is he okay? And he kind of says, you ever have that feeling you're not sure you're awake or dreaming? Mm-hmm. And you ever have those? This kind of just made me thinking of those. There's those dreams where you don't know if sometimes you feel like someone's in the room with you, and then you don't know if you wake up and you turn on the light where you look. I don't know if this is the same example, but you know you're in like you're kind of in a conscious, unconscious state. You're not awake, but you're not asleep. So you feel like there's a presence there. When you look, there's nothing there. So you're like, am I imagining that? Am I dreaming that? Or is that real? I thought that was kind of interesting. And so, like we said, Neil is consciously and unconsciously has suspected something is off with the reality he's living in. All right, so we go from there to the nightclub. People are dancing and having fun. I like the touch with Rob Zombie, Dragula playing in the background. And actually, that's like a kind of a different version of the song.
It is.
Yeah, I really like it.
It's a club song.
It's a club song. And like these movies, like in the 90s, the late 90s, all these kind of nightclubs always have this dark, cyber gothic, punk look.
Yep, it was a great decade.
And you notice, like, in this scene, Neil's standing in a corner alone. People in the club, it kind of symbolizes that the people in that club are like the people everywhere where they're fine living their lives in this reality, this desire of self-satisfaction.
Yeah.
To keep them from questioning, this desire to keep this keeps them from questioning their reality. And you can see Neil does not share in the collective divulgence that they are.
Yeah, he's definitely, his mind is elsewhere for sure.
Mm-hmm.
He's thinking something is up, and that's why he's not partying with them. He's, like you said, he's standing in the corner there just waiting for something to happen, I suppose. I don't know, or maybe just chilling about for a bit.
And just by what we're kind of seeing, this is a person that probably doesn't have a lot of friends or people he can connect with.
No.
Because he can't, because they're connected in a different way where he is, because he's almost like, he's not quite unplugged, but it's someone's yanking at his cord.
Yeah.
That's what's kind of how I kind of see it. And then he meets Trinity.
Speaking of yanking on his cord.
Oh! We just went from PG to rated R right
it's
there.
It's coming, you know it is.
And he meets Trinity. So this is a great scene. And like the first thing he says is like, I thought you were a man. And she's like, most guys do.
Yeah.
And I like how, because this is a person that we find out that she really cares for. But I like how she kind of just like nonchalantly just like, yeah, whatever, dude. Like kind of just, like she's a force.
She didn't get all butthurt over it.
Not butthurt.
No.
Not butthurt. And just kind of like, and then, not like she had to put him in his place, but just like, most people do.
Yep.
And and I think this is more so, I don't know if it's just the character, but Carrie-Anne Moss, I almost forgot like what like actually commanding presence she has, because I've seen her in other things, and she's like one of this person that you wouldn't want to fuck with.
No.
And
because she kick your ass.
Yeah. And actually, out of all of them, I think she's the fastest and that has the best fluid movement in the martial arts, in my opinion.
She looks great when she's doing it.
Oh, man, when she's like walking on the walls. So, yeah. Do you have anything else on this scene that stood out to you?
No, it was a very short scene. Very short, concise scene. There's really not much to it.
Yeah. And then the alarm clock goes off. Neil is late for work. We've all been there. I want to point out, this is something you see constant in the movie. Neil is waking up from sleeping, being unconscious, from the Matrix, even from the dead.
How so?
Well, we'll just have to keep talking here and find out. But he's waking up. Like,
Yes.
throughout the movie, it's just, again, this movie symbolizes that he's waking up from many levels.
You're right.
Yeah. And did you notice in his apartment the door is 101?
No, I don't focus on that stuff.
Well, again, with the deeper meanings and symbology,
Okay.
here, you can almost say, like, because like 101 is a lot of times designate like a course load, and say if you went to university, it's like an introductory course to something. So a person, you could almost interpret that when we meet Neo and where he kind of starts going, he's in an introductory course. And he is kind of in this movie because he's very reactive in this movie. He's learning, about his own reality. He's learning about the world's kind of fate. He's learning about his abilities, things beyond him. So that's kind of his introductory course. And I kind of thought where we meet Trinity, because she's in that 303 or 306, she's already an upper level. And you can see that. Like, she knows what's going on.
Okay.
And with the Wachowskis...
Yeah, you never know. You never know. Everything for a reason.
Clearly she is. Like, she, So I thought that was kind of cool. And he works at the... I like the name of the place he works at. It's at Metacortex.
Yeah.
Like, and I thought that was interesting. And I got this from the audio commentary where, because meta, going beyond or transcending boundaries, and then cortex is the outer layer of her brain. So they were kind of talking about that. So symbolism, going beyond the boundaries of your mind. So some interesting stuff. And in the office, he's talking to his boss, and this goes back to that Matrix code where you see the two window washers.
Yeah.
You notice the soap on the window looks like the Matrix code coming down
As they're squeezing the window.
Yeah. Yeah.
And his boss is like berating him for being late, and all he can see is those two guys, and you go,
yeah.
It's just like, he was totally distracted.
Yeah, totally.
Like, yeah, whatever, boss, I'm late. Who gives a fuck? Just give me my job back.
And it's just like, hungover, tired, sleep deprived, or and you see how he's dressed. You just tell this is a person that woke up really late. He can't even, his clothes is not fitting right in no time. But this scene also, I think, really symbolizes Neo's current situation. Because, like, his boss is talking about making a choice. Either you're going to get in line and start going this way, or you're going to go in this, So you can just tell there's some deeper meaning to that.
Yeah.
And he even says, you believe you are special. And this is a constant thing that Morpheus is always telling throughout the movie, that he's special, but in the Matrix world, Neo's always told that he's actually not. And just like when Agent Smith is dealing with him, he's always kind of, he never calls him, he's like, Mr. Anderson, because he wants to reaffirm that you're nothing special, you're part of this program.
Yeah.
And I thought that was kind of like foreshadowing here, kind of with the boss here, that he's telling him, you're not special and the rules don't apply to you. But as we learn, he is special and the rules don't apply to him. So I thought that was some cool foreshadowing in this scene with his boss. Okay, so Neil's now sitting at his cubicle. And notice it is neat and empty of any personal items. And it kind of makes sense that this world is like devoid of anything.
Boring.
Yeah. And this is quite a contrast compared to his apartment. Like, both are small size. That when he's at his computer there, he's got all kinds of stuff, books, everything. Like, there's so much of the Neil personality at his computer desk at home, and then there's so much of the Thomas A. Anderson personality there. I think there's just, like, you just notice, like, there's just a phone book. And I like, he's late, he gets reprimanded, and he's just sitting there staring at a blank screen. I don't know if he's like waiting for the Trinity, type message or something, but like he's not even like doing anything. He's just sitting there.
I think he's sulking.
Yeah. And I found it interesting for a person who works at one of the foremost computer companies in the world. He doesn't have much to show for it. Like with his little apartment.
Nope.
No, he really doesn't, or maybe he chose not to. But yeah,
and he's making bank on selling those programs or those hacking programs.
He's got to be making some extra cut.
$2,000 for that one. Like that's not his first rodeo.
But then again, maybe the money. That's why everything's so dull to him. That possessions in this world, it doesn't feel nothing for him because he's searching for something deeper.
True.
So it's very interesting. But yeah, he's working for this big software. But what does he really do?
Yeah, we don't know.
So I thought this scene really was a good setup of showing that his work feels like a prison. Because he is a prisoner of the Matrix.
Yep.
Because so his isolation is real. The cubicle.
It's terrible.
Yeah. Then he gets a FedEx with the cell phone. It immediately rings, and Morpheus tells him the agents are coming. Whoa.
Yeah.
And he tells him to walk to the scaffolding. And I like here, and this kind of really symbolizes like the hero's journey, especially at this time, and like Neil's journey. But he gives up. Like he doesn't believe, right?
Well, I mean, before we get there, like Morpheus is telling him like, "Hey, agents are coming," and he's like, "Where?" And he goes, "Stand up and look." And he looks and he sees them. He's like, "Shit!" Right? And then Morpheus is like, "Hey, you need to get out of there." He's like, how do I how do I know to do this or whatever? And he's like, just do it. Just do it. And he's like,
you got no choice.
You're blindly following a guy on the cell phone telling you to do things. He's like, "Hey, now there's a cubicle next to you that's empty. Go to it." And he's like, "Hey, wait. Okay, go now." And then he goes and he realizes that he did escape there. And then he tells him to keep moving. And eventually he gets outside to the window, right? But like he's blindly following Morpheus, and he gets to that point. So he's trusted Morpheus this far, because he's been right every time.
He has, but I like that he's still very skeptical about him.
Yeah.
Because in other, it's too cliche in movies and TV that they'll right away start believing and trusting people.
Yes.
Where he's not only he doesn't, he's unsure about his own reality. He's unsure of the reality that Morpheus is presenting.
Well, I mean, he was faced with hundreds of feet of death because he drops a cell phone. Mm-hmm. He sees that and he's like, "Fuck this! I'm out. No way! I'm not doing this."
Yeah,
gets arrested.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and maybe that shows you because Morpheus is so used to living in the reality he is in the world he is that he's like, yeah, no problem. Go to scaffolding. We're telling you it's important, but like for him, he's like, well, they got nothing on me. We don't even know what he's hacking. We don't know what offenses that he would be charged with.
Right.
So he's probably like, well, you know what, I'm just going to fuck.
Well, because he thinks he's dealing with the typical law enforcement.
Well, yeah. He thinks it's just the
He doesn't know who he's dealing with. Yeah.
And all right, so he's captured and taken away, and Trinity's there. And I like how that little nod that Agent Smith kind of looks. Like something.
Yeah, she looked in her mirror on her bike there.
On her bike, and Agent Smith's looking, and we get a glimpse of someone watching Neo in an interrogation room from multiple screens. Back in the day, I thought this at first was Morpheus. Or I thought it was just a surveillance.
I think I did too.
At the compound where he was.
Yeah.
But after watching the trilogy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You find out who it is in number 2.
You find out who it is, yeah. Because, there might have been a few iterations. I really like this scene because, for one, we start seeing Agent Smith's individualism from the other agents. You can tell he's a little bit different. Not because, his status there, obviously he is the leader, but if you notice the other agents, you rarely see any emotion.
Yeah.
They're like the T-1000.
Yes.
So Agent Smith comes in there, and I like how he comes in there, has this big folder, sits down, Mr. Anderson, and he kind of goes into that, this monotone kind of voice. And kind of tells him, hey, we know you're Thomas A. Anderson, and you do this and this and that, and you live a pretty clean life. You even help your landlady, with their groceries. Then he tells him about this other person.
The one thing I'd like to add is when the agent slams the big folder down, I like how he just slowly like takes that twine around the button of the folder and he slowly unravels it, and it's just like, man, this guy is tedious, you know. And it just I don't know, it just for some reason that little thing just kind of stuck out to me. It showed me who he was as a person, like an agent, just the way he
meticulous detail.
Yes, yeah, and the way he presented himself towards like someone like Neo, just the way he unraveled that thing really slow and opened it up and went through his priors and shit. Like, it was crazy.
Yeah, he just lists that and just nonchalantly, and then he says, you know, I think you want to, you know, do the right thing.
Yeah. And then what does Neo say to him? He says, well, I ain't saying shit. I want my one phone call. And he gives him the finger.
Can't scare me, this Gestapo bullshit.
Exactly. Yeah, I want my phone call. And he gives him the fucking finger.
And then
Agent's like, well, what good is a phone call if you can't speak?
Yeah.
And he's like, what?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, his lips start to get infused together, and he's like, moo, moo, and he can't open his mouth. And he starts freaking out, and he gets out of his chair, and he's busting up against the wall, and then the agents take him.
They grab him.
Throw him down on the table. They rip open his shirt, and they bring out this little mini sentinel kind of looking thing.
It's like a sentinel squid.
Yeah, a sentinel squid, and he turns it on. It turns into like a biomechanic little piece of tracking device, and it fucking wiggles its way into his belly button. And I was like grabbing my stomach the whole time. I was like, oh my god.
Well, it kind of makes you think of like the Alien movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
With the kind of the scented the squid that comes out.
Yeah.
Or whatever, the chest buster.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just, there's something so
it was such an eerie scene to watch. Yeah. And then later on he wakes up at home again.
Yeah, he wakes up at home, doesn't think it was his dream. He had a tracker put in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do the agents at this point are aware? I don't think they're aware how important Neil is. Or are they acting on the architect's orders?
I don't know. I'm not sure if they really realize
wouldn't you think
how important he is.
Because if they knew how important he was, they would kill him.
Yes, they would. They would have. And Neo, at this point, has no training of any. He knows nothing to protect himself. He's just a pawn, right?
Well, this kind of plays into why Cypher also
betrays him.
What's that?
Betrays him.
Betrays him.
Yeah.
And you notice like they're like when she. I don't know. Maybe I'll just wait to touch upon this when they get to the Oracle.
Oh.
It's a little too early to kind of say, but I think there's maybe a reason why they didn't think to kill him, because they came across would be the ones 5 times before, or not maybe just 5 times, but remember Neil's not the first person that Morpheus thought was the one.
Right.
I may as well go into it now. Fuck it, because I started it. And Cypher says in the script to Neo when he has that drink with him, Morpheus had other people he thought was the one, and they all fought the agents and they all died. So that's why he kind of says that thing, when you see an agent, you do like we do, run.
Yeah.
But obviously the script changed and that was cut out there. So that played into it. So maybe the agents just saw, okay, we don't know who this guy is, and even if he was, it's just another one of Morpheus's, like, crazy.
Yeah, we'll take care of him.
Yeah, we'll take care of him. So keep him around, and he has the bug in him, so he will lead them to Morpheus so they can get a hold of Morpheus and extract those plans from him. That's probably why they kept them alive.
Yeah,
or another reason.
From Zion, right?
Yeah, the codes, yeah. Because each captain has the codes to Zion.
Yep.
Okay. So he wakes up, gets a phone call from Morpheus, and Morpheus kind of answers that. He explains to him that they have underestimated his importance, why he's still alive, and they go collect him. And again, I like this scene when he gets into the car. You see the rain, like the Matrix codes coming down.
Yes. Well, the one thing I want to touch on is just before this scene, so far, a lot of the shots have been from above, showing a lot of height in this film. Like a lot of the film in the Matrix is of height, like from rooftops to the street level. Like a lot, like almost every third scene is starting off by shooting from up above down below. Like there's an overarching theme of heights in this film.
And almost like someone's watching, like not only that the architect is watching, but the people in the real world, watching the Matrix and kind of like, like Tank and all them, they have schematics so they can kind of see like from a bird's eye view. So it kind of makes sense. There's always some kind of like
like with the code coming down, it's always vertical.
It's
Everything
vertical.
in this film is vertical. Like you said, they accentuate the rain and the squeegees and the heights of the films from the rooftops to the streets and dropping the cell phone and just seeing all those things is all from a place of height, like vertical. So it's a really cool theme. Like it's something that you don't really notice in a lot of other films at all. You're like, wow, this really is prominent.
Yeah, it is very prominent.
Yeah.
And it's a nice visual style.
It's
too.
beautiful. It's awesome.
It just reminds you that you're in something, that something's going to happen. Or to me.
Yeah.
And to you.
Yeah.
And in this scene, he gets in the car and right away, Switch and APOC, I like how she just kind of like right away points the gun at him. He's like, what? And he's like, for our protection and stuff. And what are you talking about? And kind of goes into it, and she kind of says, hey, listen up here, buddy boy. It's our way or the highway. And then he's about to walk out, but then Trinity kind of talks some sense into him. It's like, do you really want to do this? You've been down this road before. You know where it's going to lead.
Yep.
And he gets back in. And this leads us to one of the movie's most iconic scenes, meeting Morpheus. And it's quite an introduction.
Well, let's not forget that they use that machine to get the bug out.
Yeah.
And he's like, what the fuck? That thing's real? Like, because he really did think that he dreamt it. Like, he thought he was dreaming.
This thing is real.
Yeah, he's like, that's real? What the hell?
Yeah.
It's crazy, yeah.
And it was just squeamish, even when they're pulling it out, and then you kind of see the inside of the stomach, so you see the ultrasound. It's just creepy, and you see this thing moving, and I think most people, we have like some type of, I don't know if it's like I don't want to say a phobia, but it's kind of squeamish and gross that if there's something alive, like moving around inside us. That's like when you hear people when they have like a tapeworm or something with bugs in their stool. It just like it freaks them out to talk about it. Even hearing about it, you're like, oh man, I got a parasite. So it's a cool scene, but also
yeah.
And then they throw it out there, and I kind of like it. Again, Terminator kind of not reference, but reminder when they throw the little squid bug out there, and then it's shortening out, and then like the red light is kind of going out, just like when the first Terminator in the movie gets crushed, his red eye flickers out.
Kind of cool.
I don't know, I don't know if that was like to me I take it as like a little homage to the Terminator.
Yeah, a little accident, a happy little accident.
Yeah, it probably wasn't purposely done there, but I like to tell myself that.
Sure.
So then we get to go to the introduction at the hotel with Morpheus.
Yes.
And this is the blue pill or red pill iconic scene.
So Morpheus says to Neo, or do you want to go?
Well, actually, one more thing. This is just like a little piece of trivia that I found. When he tells him to meet him on the corner of Adams Street Bridge, the crossing bridge on the other side, could be another symbolic reference filled with, it kind of means like multiple choices. He's waiting in the rain, the green rain, like we said.
Yeah.
Water's falling equals, represents the Matrix code. Matrix explains the representation of biblical allegory of Adam and Eve, like that, the Adam's bridge.
Right.
Adam eats the forbidden fruit. After taking a bite, Adam's eyes are open to the truth. So this is what's happening with Neo.
Right.
He's taken a bite of that apple, and now he sees something different. And what happens is Adam gets expelled from paradise, and so him now taking a bite of that forbidden fruit with that knowledge, he's got to leave this whatever. It's not paradise, but he's leaving there. That's kind of where it kind of foreshadows to taking the red pill.
Again, symbolism, right? Like it's just it's throughout the film.
Also, I was just thinking, I just thought of this now. When he gets into the car and they take the bug out, it could almost represent, if we want to go to Christianity allegories, it could almost mean like baptism in a way. You get, getting the bug taken out of him. Like, I don't know, like if you go through like the sacraments, and say is like a Catholic, you do your confirmation, you do your first communion and your confirmation, and it kind of made me think them taking the bug out of him was like his first communion. And then when he takes the red pill, that's like his confirmation.
Okay.
Because he's kind of washing away his past sins. That's what I kind of took out of that.
Okay. I did not, but that's okay. It means something different for everybody. I just remember thinking, like, finally getting to Morpheus, like, this whole process just to free one mind from the Matrix. Like, how much has been put into Neo from the time of meeting Trinity to, trying to plan an escape at work, to getting away from the agents, to meeting Trinity again, and then finally getting to Morpheus and having to be coaxed with the red pill, blue pill thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just that whole thing, just to get him to free his mind. Like, no wonder they struggle to acquire more free minds, right? Because it's just the process is just so painstakingly brutal that like they would rather free younger minds, because I think it's just easier for them to do it, and that's why they say, like, they typically don't free older minds, because you've just been in the Matrix too long and you're too used to life there and you're comfortable, whereas if you're younger, you're more malleable and it's easier to free your mind,
Yeah.
which makes Neo really special, because he is of the middle age, I think closer to middle age category, or a bit older than the younger crowd, I would say. Maybe, 20s, 30s, maybe? Something like that?
Yeah.
So close, but, they still say he's one of the older ones to free his mind.
Well, and you just think about just even, like, not only just the mind, but also your body, your physiology and stuff. Like, an older person probably could, go into, like, a cardiac event.
Right.
Or something like that. Because, like, Neo, he has a moment where, like, he passes out and vomits and stuff, and like
the mind can't the mind is not able to like, if it can't comprehend what's happening, it goes into like panic mode, and and so the older you are, maybe your body just can't handle that stress.
We'll just look at a person that like suffers from anxiety and panic disorders. It can be kind of the same thing, where like your body's creating these physiological responses and real things can manifest, kind of where it feels like it's manifesting, and your body is like altering in that case. And you can imagine here just the shock of the reality of it. So a younger, not only like body being stronger, but also the mind. Not necessarily the mind is stronger, but the mind is like, when you're a younger person, you can be almost more impressionable, but also less impressionable at the same time, where like things can stick to you that, may not stick to, like, as an older person. You're like, I don't care about that. We're there. You're like, well, I kind of care about that. But you're also open in a way, because you don't understand a lot of things, because as a young mind, you want to understand.
Yeah, like when you're younger, you're going to ask more questions than your grandfather would ask.
Yeah.
Because your grandfather's lived, a lot longer than you. So he's already had those questions answered for him. Whereas, the grandson would be asking all the questions. So it's just a balance in life where you're just not old enough to have experienced so many things. So you still need to ask questions to learn about life. But, the grandfather would say, like, he's already lived all that. So he doesn't need to ask questions anymore. He just answers them.
Yeah.
So that's typically like what's going on. And
part of why Neil's living like a double life is that he is asking questions. He is questioning things. That's his mind is searching for that. He's not only is he searching it through Morpheus, but he's been searching through his whole life. Like there's a reason why he is going under the alias of Neo. Like there's something there that he's searching for. He wants to learn. He wants to ascend to, in a way where you can call it determinism, because this movie kind of deals with a lot of determinism. And actually, like, Neo, when he first meets Morpheus, they do kind of talk about it in the dialogue of the belief our behaviors flow from a genetic or environmental factors. Once they occur, are very difficult to change. And that goes back to what you were kind of saying, like an older mind being unplugged from the Matrix, is that once you have, these behaviors instilled in you for such a long time, the body can't reroute, or the mind can't. So it's very interesting. Like the Wachowskis.
Oh, they're wonderful storytellers.
What can I say?
For you people out there, if you ever ask, you need to ask questions. If you don't know what's going on, just don't be afraid to ask questions. Always question everything, and don't just take everything at face value. Yeah.
And I like when they finally meet. Neil's right away like both of them are jubilated to meet each other. Morpheus, you could just see he's now excited because like shit is gonna hit.
He's finally got him.
Yeah, he feels it. He believes it. And then Neil, he meets him. He's like, it's an honor to meet you, because he was kind of very resistant.
Yeah.
Up until he comes and meets him, and then they sit down and talk. And Morpheus, I can't say much about this character. Like, he is just like Neil is like a Christ-like character or of some divine origin. You could kind of say Morpheus's role is he's kind of like a divine. He's the type of divine entity who helps the hero in their path. It's really, actually, Morpheus is the Greek god of dreams or another reality. So, a little bit of tidbit. It's kind of interesting.
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah, and again, he's the Obi-Wan of this
he is.
saga.
Yeah,
he's a mentor character. But so I like the fact with Neil is he is the one, but Morpheus also represents some type of mythological being of great wisdom. You can just tell, like, he's not really old, but it's almost like he's lived like a lifetime, like many lifetimes.
Yes, he does portray
I think that's
yep.
what Lawrence Fishburne, what we talked about earlier, instills. Like,
yep.
just like you can just see every word he says, he selects. He's like, this guy, like, there's conviction.
Yeah, you know what? With that, this is where now I can make the judgment that Sam Jackson could not pull this off. And I'll say, because he would be way too distracting for me. I'm sorry, but he would be way too distracting sitting in that chair, offering Neo the red or the blue pill. Like you said, acting as the Greek god, the father figure, the mentor. If I'm looking at Sam Jackson sitting across, I'm distracted.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not caring about his message. I'm caring about, oh, that's Sam Jackson. Like, I'd be too distracted. With having Lawrence Fishburne, although he was a great actor, but just not as prominent as Sam Jackson was, seeing him sitting there was much more convincing for me, because I hadn't seen Lawrence a lot. And so I did recognize him a little bit, but not a lot. And so I was intrigued by his character, not his face. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's my argument for not having Sam Jackson in this role. Well,
definitely Lawrence Fishburne not being as well known as the status that Samuel Jackson has. Because it's like the things, when you watch like a Tom Cruise movie, and he's good in what he plays, but it's Tom Cruise.
But you're always like, that's Tom Cruise.
That's Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
There's certain actors, it's actors playing.
Yeah.
And the same is with Samuel Jackson. Samuel Jackson is great in everything he does. He's awesome.
He is.
But Lawrence Fishburne is like, he's very subtle when he says stuff. He just says it. Where he's not adding any panache to it.
Right.
He's just like, matter of fact, this is what it is, Neil.
This is why I like him in this role.
Yeah, this is a perfect role for him. Like, and I like the kind of the detail, like his look, the glasses without he just has the lenses.
Yeah, no arms.
No arms.
You're like, what the hell?
How they stay like that? And,
yeah.
And then just his getup. There's something really, really cool.
Well, again with the long coat too, right?
Coat,
and he's got his legs crossed.
The green tie, the shirt. Like his wardrobe is great. It stands out, but not enough where it doesn't look odd.
No.
So really cool. And just when they're sitting there, like I like this, the dark, like the shadows, the beat up, the old armchairs. They have that old like TV, and he's just sitting there and talking, and he's and just you look at the detail with him when he's playing with that silver box, and you notice this silver box when he's playing, and you think, oh, is it like a lighter? At first you think it's a lighter, or is it like a metal a silver box of like cigarettes? And
I thought he was going to start smoking.
But he ends up revealing two pills, and you see one is red and one is blue. And as you learn that the red symbolizes truth, knowledge, to reject the status quo, and then the blue symbolizes the ignorance living according to falsehood is present in front of us in everyday society, which is something that...
So all you people out there, don't be taking the blue pill.
Yeah. And it's good to question things and have diversity of thought. That is something that...
Yes.
That, you know, it's good to question things. It's good to have civil discourse.
Yeah, even if you argue, that's still healthy. A healthy argument there's nothing wrong with that at all.
It's okay to have a differences of opinions.
Yep.
And even if you're talking to someone that, whether it's, long as it's not like harmful, I know we're going on, but long as it's not harmful or destructive to someone,
Yes.
you know what, sometimes it's just good to kind of like, okay, I disagree with you, and that's that.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I really awesome with the blue pill, and like the blue pill and the red pill to this day. Like part of like what I talk about with some of the podcasts with red pill.
Yeah.
It applies today. It's about this.
That is going to apply forever.
It is. Like this is stuff like a lot of people apply to their own life. And it's just a cool effect, a red pill and a blue pill.
It is cool effect, yeah.
So he takes a red pill. And then also, you learn it turns out to be like a locator. And there's two things here. I love the effect as it's like going through and tracing through his body. But also, it has another meaning. It's the end of Mr. Anderson. And he'll be reborn as Neo.
The birth of Neo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, like I love that. And I love the sound effect where it's like going into his like mouth cavity and you hear this.
Yeah, it's really crazy.
And then from there we get the shot of this horrific image of thousands upon thousands of people connected to rows of machines. Like what was like
again another shot from above showing the pillar, showing this pillar full of human bodies.
Yeah, just stacks.
In a farm like system, and they're all plugged into this machine and they're providing energy to the machines. It's just so crazy. Like it's just it's such a I don't know, it's hard to really like decipher when you're first seeing it, because it's like, man, I've never seen so many bodies hooked up to machines at the same time, and they're all like using their energy, and it's just kind of weird.
Yeah, and like you don't know why are they all stacked like that at first until, you know.
You find out it's for energy later, but at first it's weird. So
you see Neo moving around in that, and oh man, you can imagine him sitting in all that goo and liquid. That would just
when I saw that, I was like, man, that's a lot of petroleum jelly.
And especially when he pops out of there and he's looking upon, like, for the first time, because he has not used his eyes.
That's right.
And he's like, and the thing is, I was kind of wondering, like, how good of things did he really see at that moment? Like, because obviously it would be like more like light flashes, because his eyesight probably is not working like regular, like, but you could just imagine him. You just see that isolation in this little cocoon of liquid, and you're connected, and you kind of see like all those plugs, and then there's something eerie about like plugs in the back of your head and in your spine, and that goes all the way down your back to almost your lower back. You're just like, ugh.
So you're just thinking like he had been in that cocoon state for years, like
because 30 years,
because they're babies, right? When they get put into that, so the machines would have done that to them when they were babies.
Mm-hmm. Okay. A care machine kind of disconnects him. Did the machine, why didn't it kill him? Or did it think he was already dead? Or I was like thinking, the architect's doing with the machines, not having the machine? Or did he just think that because he woke up and stuff that he's dead? Because he gets kind of flushed.
He does. I think
once
once a mind is free, they can't use it. Like they can't use it anymore as energy. So they just flush it, I guess. And that's where they pick him up at. But I don't know if that machine has the ability to kill.
Okay.
You know, it might not just have that ability to kill a being.
Yeah, because he gets flushed.
Yeah.
It's flushed right down the toilet.
Yeah, it's either... there's symbolism in that. But but it's either that or... Maybe they create a bug or like a virus in the program that when you do get red pilled, that it puts a marker on you and maybe it makes that machine release you. I don't know. I'm not sure. I haven't really read or anything.
Well, yeah,
it could be anything.
It could be anything because I was like thinking, well, maybe the architect, because the architect is watching all this, so he's somewhat aware of Neil's activities.
Yeah.
And it plays... Because, well, as we learn, they need him.
Right.
So, to have him die right there...
Yeah.
Because it just felt like, okay, he disconnected and then it unplugged him and then it
kind
flushed
of
him.
wondered about that too.
Or I thought also that robot was under the control of Morpheus. But all we know is that when he takes the red pill, they now know where he is. That's all they know.
Yeah.
His signal with him.
Yeah, they found his body.
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of interesting. What happened there?
Yeah,
where you just thought, okay, he's like you said, he's unplugged, and we're just gonna flush him down. So
I think
they discarded him.
Yeah,
or the architect.
Who knows? Who knows?
That's right. So he gets flushed down, and then they save him and pick him up, and it's kind of like you said, symbolic. It almost like that, rebirth, reborn. Like, even like when they're picking him up. Like Frankenstein's, the iconic 1930 movie Frankenstein, where he ascends to the heavens and he gets electrocuted. You see Neil being picked up by the ship, and he's ascending into the ship in this white light. So I thought that was kind of almost like because he's reborn, born like the creature was.
That's pretty cool.
Kind of made me kind of think of that. And I'm sure there's other allegories and symbolisms you can get from it, but that's what I saw.
Yeah.
And then he's on a table and he's got a few little needles.
He looks like Hellraiser.
he looks like pin body,
pin cushion too. Yeah,
pin cushion.
Yeah. Are they doing like treatments on him? Is he getting like free massages or what?
And you wonder like how long. Well, obviously the technology would hurry it, but like because he's never used his arms, his legs,
any of his body.
He's never sat or even sat.
No, so his muscles are underdeveloped.
Atrophied.
So this is what they're doing. I think they're getting his muscles working.
Yeah.
Like on prompt, faster,
Well, you can imagine if this movie was made today, they probably would have had him like Steve Rogers, like Chris Evans in the Captain America, where they'd have him like really undernourished, skinny, kind of emancipated or something like that.
Yeah.
You probably would do that with the effects, but back then. And the thing is, I don't think the audience cared as much. Like you're like, eh.
At this time, he's
point,
not a superhero in the sense of like your Marvel superhero, so you don't need to buff him up at all.
And also, you figured they'd have enough nourishment there because they want the body to be somewhat healthy is enough because that's where they're getting energy. Reduce the energy. So you figure that there would be some type of nutrition, some type of activity to keep them because a person that gets like those bed sores and all that being laying down for too long, so there'd be obviously you imagine the maintenance that those machines would have to do.
Well, you're in for germanium jelly, and he's kind of hovering in that
true
cocoon, so he's really not laying on anything. So he is kind of like mid. He's kind of hovering in the middle there. The jelly's keeping him fresh. His skin is all nice and smooth.
It's all about the jelly.
Yeah.
Jelly boy.
That's right.
Okay. So then he wakes up and his eyes hurt. And
because Neo tells him you've never used them before.
Yes. And if you want to know more...
And that is a huge symbolic statement right there.
Well, yeah.
Huge.
Very. There's a Plato allegory with that Matrix Explained talks about. So, again... Go to that if you want to know more about
I'll have to check that out.
I have to check it out because
Matrix Explained on YouTube, right?
Plato's about a cave, about essentially like there's these people that are living in a cave, and what happens from the surface is that they put basically like structures that looks like animals or whatever, and they're afraid, so they're living in this blindness, and so they haven't seen until they go out there and they see that they're not what they thought they were, and that's kind of what it symbolizes. I'm kind of paraphrasing.
Yeah, he'll do a much better job. Yeah,
he tells it like again. I'm kind of but that's kind of the gist of it. It's like opening your eyes, seeing for the first time, seeing things for what they are.
Yeah. Also, I think shortly after this, we learn that the time frame of the film is around 2199. Morpheus says to Neo.
Yeah, they're not sure what year it is.
We're not sure what year it is, but he thinks it's around 2199. Mm-hmm. So that's the best guess that we have for when this movie takes place.
Yes.
So we're about 200 years into the future from the opening of the film in 1999. Mm-hmm. So 200 years. So we need to start preparing for the machines to take over in about 180 years by now.
I guess. But you're thinking about it's 2021 right now.
Yeah.
And 2099. That's really not that far off.
2199. So we got 180.
Oh, you said 2199?
2199. So we got 180 years.
Okay, so 2199.
So we got 180 years.
You got 180 years. Oh, yeah, you just said that. Holy shit, I must come off a little bit. Yeah, so
we got some time, but not too much time.
You know, some of these movies are going to have to start, like, really going further into the future, like, 25.
They're going to have to, yep.
Because, like, I think in Blade Runner, there's, like, the movie's, like, 20-something.
2049?
Yeah, 2049.
So, like, we're going to be there soon.
And, like, the first one's even sooner, like, 20-something, so...
Well, we've already passed Back to the Future, right?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that 2015?
Yeah.
Or something like that, yeah, with the clock tower, yeah.
Yeah. We're not traveling in hover.
No, where's my skateboard?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure someone is... Elon Musk or something.
I want self-tying shoes and a self-drying jacket, by the way.
I know. What the hell?
I want that.
I wonder what those would go at.
Expensive.
It'd be very expensive.
Very heavy.
Okay, so he kind of wakes up and they kind of show him the ship. Gives him kind of the grand tour of the...
Yes, what is the name of the ship? The Nebuchadnezzar.
Yes. And actually that's named from... a king of the Neo-Babylonian Empire.
Of course it is.
Yeah,
of course it is. It's got to mean something, right?
It's got to mean something, right? It says it was made in 2069.
Nice.
So I think that's where I thought
2099,
but you're like 2199. Okay.
Yeah.
So and the thing is, you wonder who made the ship that they're using. Was it the machines or was it the Resistance?
Yeah. I would think the Resistance.
Yeah.
Because they're living in the sewers and they designed it to travel in the sewers, right?
Yeah.
So I would think the Resistance built it.
And then he goes on to explain to him they use a pirated signal, to suspecting that pirate signal they use is the same as Hard Harry uses from Pump of the Volume.
Oh, of course they do. Yeah, what is that, like 98.2 or something?
Yeah, 92, yeah. So, yeah. The price is right, even in the future.
That's right, yeah.
So maybe Hard Harry made the Nebuchadnezzar.
Maybe he's in the Matrix.
Yeah. Then, Morpheus goes on to explain to Neo what is the Matrix. And we finally get a good definition of it from the man himself, Morpheus. It's a computer-generated dream world built to keep us under control. Yep. To change humans into organic batteries. And if you didn't know, he holds
Duracell.
Duracell.
Yep. They turn us into this. Yeah. Isn't that brutal?
Yeah. And he goes into that construct. And that was a little bit, when I first saw it, I kind of, you're like, okay, they have I guess they would have a construct of the Matrix.
Yep.
So and then if you pay attention to the colors, it's not green. It's a good, so when they're in the construct.
Yes.
There's less green and...
Yeah, there's a
difference.
A difference, yeah. So make sure that you know where you are.
And apparently I heard that in the 4K kind of version of the Blu-ray, they kind of took out that grainy tint to it.
Really?
Yeah.
Why would they do that?
I don't know. Because I actually really like that.
That's the whole purpose of the film, right?
Where it's less prominent.
So. I hope that's not true.
Yeah. I'll find out when I get a 4K one day.
You better.
I better. Do you have a DVD even?
Let's not talk about this right now. It's not about me right now.
Yeah. So, he goes on to explain, and this is where, I don't know if I'm missing anything, but Neil has a hard time believing what he's seeing. Because he shows him this, through the construct, the world, and then he shows him what the world really looks like, the desert, and he talks about scorching the skies, right?
Yeah, so I'd like to touch on this. So early in the 21st century, the century that we're living in now.
That's eerie.
Yeah. Gave birth to AI, which I have seen many times. I just saw a quick little video the other day of like this AI person, and it looked crazy real. It's very scary. I don't want to see that shit. But anyways, the humans fought the AI for supremacy. And when the AI had to rely on solar energy, the humans decided to cloud the sky with whatever they used. I don't know, but they used airplanes to cloud the sky permanently somehow.
Yeah, they scorched it because they thinking they would take the energy.
Taking the sun away. Hoping that the AI would die off eventually, but that didn't work because then they ended up farming humans. They would, use them for energy sources, and this is how they were able to take over.
And that's where we get that great scene of that little infant that they have. Yeah. And they're basically saying that they basically are recycling all like the dead humans. Yep. And then you see like that black freaking goo just kind of filling up the embryonic sac.
Yep. Yeah. It was pretty dark. And then this is where Neo starts to reject the idea of what this world has done.
Yeah.
And this is when they say he's going to pop.
He's going to pop. Yeah, so Neo has a hard time believing this, and he has like a panic attack, and so he has Cypher. And then the script, like we kind of alluded to, Morpheus has failed 5 times finding the one before. That's why Cypher says that in that scene, but they kind of kept that in the scene, but that detail we don't know, that he thinks he's going to die because he's seen it before. And of course, like the reoccurring, Neo wakes up again. He survives.
Yep.
Yeah. And this kind of leads us, Morpheus is there kind of watching him, and you kind of, yeah, man, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I think I overestimated that even you, the one I believe, can handle or take.
This is where he tells them that they don't normally free older minds. Yeah. That's why. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he goes on to talk about when the Matrix was built, there was a man who could do anything. Amazing things. He was born inside, remake the Matrix to whoever he saw fit, for whatever he saw fit. And when he died, another, and this is like, again, he goes on, it's like a Christ allegory, right? The oracle prophesies his return, resurrection, and bring an end to the Matrix. So again, second coming of Christ. Very interesting. Like I'm kind of curious to go back and see what the Wachowskis kind of like. I understand they like theology or interested in theology and all this, but there is a lot of especially Christian.
So with their knowledge, then with this much, symbolism with Christianity and whatnot, it's safe to say that maybe that's where their faith lies. Maybe.
Yeah.
Or did they just study it for the fact of making this film? I don't know.
Well, you don't know. Like, I think a lot of talented, like, great writers were, like, when it comes to the comics and stuff, it's like George Lucas and stuff. Like, you listen to him talk and you look at Star Wars, there's so much, like, history from the world, from Greek mythology all the way to modern, infused in there and stuff. And same with the Wachowskis. But they seem to be a little more into, like, the Hinduism, like we said earlier, and all this, like all the world religions and stuff. Because, like, I know I'm kind of focusing a lot of, like, Christian allegories and stuff, because a lot of these allegories overlap each other, because most myths and religions out there, a lot of their stories kind of have the same symbolism in them anyways, the meaning of it. There's always, like, some type of virgin birth in almost every religion. And there's like an end of days. There's like a a resurrection. Like so. But it's so easy to kind of go back to like the Christ, there. And then after this, it's time to train Neo, and he meets Tank and Dozer. And what's significant about them is he learns from talking to Tank that you got no plugins on you, and he meets his first people that were born outside the Matrix.
Pure Zion blood.
Pure Zion blood.
What I love about Tank is his enthusiasm meeting Neo. He is so excited meeting Neo because he looks up to Morpheus as well. And he was like, Morpheus said that, you were special. And he's like, damn, if Morpheus is right. And he's like, just so into it. And he's like, damn, I can't imagine what you can do. And he's so excited for Neo to start learning.
Well, the actor that played Tank, I really liked him in this movie.
He's great.
It's actually really too bad that he wasn't back for the 2 sequels. There's kind of shit on that. Why he didn't? Well, apparently he was difficult to deal with on set.
Really?
Yeah, and there was like one kind of tidbit. I don't know if it's true or not. He was like asking for like a copious amount of money, and like he, like comparable to like Keanu Reeves.
What?
Yeah. And I don't know.
What did he get? Like 5 minutes of screen time? Maybe.
I'm sure that's probably not true, but either way,
that's not.
I don't know.
That's crazy.
They didn't. Yeah, there was a kind of a fallout. I don't know. So yeah, but it's kind of too bad because
that is too bad.
He was really good in the film. And I like when they're talking about Zion because this goes into we got to go back to our religious references of Zion is kind of like the land, Israel, and the city of Jerusalem, the promised land.
Yeah.
So and other religions refer to like Zion as like a utopia or like a holy place.
Yeah.
So it makes kind of sense. Then Neil gets connected to the construct and uploads programs, files directly into his mind. And like this scene is badass.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like I know Tank was like, okay, let's see here. This is just some basic training. You don't need this. And he throws it away. Yeah. And then he's like, no, let's get you the good stuff. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden you can just see Neo just rummaging through it all. And I think he was ended up doing 8 hours straight.
10 hours straight.
Yeah, 10 hours straight of
like machine.
Yeah,
and like I noted here, like out of all the stuff the machines did, there's a really upside for the machines giving these mechanical parts because you can learn like almost any skill almost immediately. Like who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't want like them to download? You can like fly a plane or every martial art.
100%.
Yeah. So he's the machine. He's the man. So that's a little foreshadowing that.
Yeah.
Could he be the one?
Yeah.
So and also the 10 hours is just right there. Like we said. It shows you his high endurance and just to remind us that, he is special. And I also like that you really get to see that Neo and Morpheus and Trinity, they're basically human hybrids. Yeah. Like they don't really talk about, but they are because like you don't know what other parts in them because they're connected. So you can imagine in exterior, like interior, there's other wirings, other things connected that we don't know. It'd be cool to see if they have like a schematic of a person that's
like what does their system look like on the inside?
Yeah. I don't know if there's anything else to say there, but this next scene takes us. It's a real iconic scene where they go into the construct, the training session.
Yeah.
Well, we have to say when he's sitting there. Neil wakes up and he looks at Morpheus. I know Kung Fu.
Show me.
Yeah,
he says
that is so cool.
Yeah.
And this scene, you could tell this scene is totally like inspired by Hong Kong cinema.
Yeah.
Bruce Lee films, all kinds of actions.
Yeah.
And so much that Neo does the trademark Bruce Lee kind of nose rub.
Yeah, and then they do like they come here with the hand, they wiggle the fingers forward, and come here.
And I guess that was an ad-lib by Keanu.
Oh, really?
So that wasn't like scripted. So that's cool that Keanu, because you can imagine he's probably was a big fan of Bruce. Well, who really isn't?
Who wasn't?
Yeah. Not only is this scene just a cool visual and to showcase the martial art and stunt coordinators like that made the film, it also shows that Morpheus he's using this not as a way to just test like Neil's physical skills, but also his mental skills. Like, so, because like he's like, well, that's why he dominates Neil in the training. Because to him, it's a mental thing. Because he keeps saying to him, like, listen, you don't have to, because he keeps telling him that you don't respect the rules. You think this is air you're breathing? Because you see during the fight, Neil, he's sweating, he's kind of breathing heavy, and then you just see Morpheus, he's just like, back
no
again, no problem. So I thought that was really cool. And throughout this, you see Neil starts realizing, and he starts fighting better. And you see him kind of exhibit some,
Yeah,
he starts doing the, breaking. So
yeah, he's breaking some laws of physics there, and he's starting to show that he can learn this stuff.
That last part there where he almost like he stops himself and he's like, "I know what you're doing," and he's like, "I'm just trying to free your mind." It's just a cool back and forth. Not only
it's a great back and forth.
Like when you think of this movie, like any part of this show, you think of this scene. This is like one of the iconic scenes. Is this training? And
this was in the trailer, I believe.
Oh, so, trailer. Like you see this, you're like, what kind of movie is this? This futuristic, but it could be set
Kung Fu. Like what the hell's going on?
Yeah. And I just like how that the computer guy, little mouse there, walks into the kitchen. Morpheus and Neo are fighting, and everybody just dashes. And Trinity just boom. Like I thought that was pretty funny.
That was awesome.
No, it was pretty awesome. And you see them watching it, and they're because it's a big moment. This is the one, and then that's where Neo's sleeping, and then you see Trinity, kind of taking care of him, and I think this goes back to kind of supporting what you were saying when I thought maybe the compassion of the character was an exhibit, because I think from the beginning of the movie, you're right, now that I'm thinking about it, it says, you like watching him, and then here she is taking care of him, watching him, but not in a pathetic
No,
way.
she's not a pathetic lover.
Some people know that she's just there like looking after him and watching like an overseer, and but
it's
then
more like a motherly instinct, but she still loves him.
A motherly there's something about really graceful about, again, like with Trinity.
It's subtle. Subtle.
And you think like people at that time, they would be like that in that type of lifestyle in that future. But of course, we see good old Cypher just sitting there and
up to his conniving old self again.
He's like, you never did that when I came out of there.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. He's always up to something, that guy.
Yeah. And he's again questioning, and even like, I don't know if he's like trying to fill in seeds of doubt to her, or like he's trying to convince himself on what his actions are. So like there's really a lot more going on with Cypher, and I think the Joe Pantoliano is really emoting some deep kind of things, because like this has been his family, but he wants to go back in there, so you can kind of really see that, you can see he can play like he's going through some turmoil. Like he's thinking, he's not,
he's struggling to exist in this world that they're in.
Yeah. And then Neil has a scene with him, and I thought this was good because you never seen these two just really interacting, and it was a good scene to have of Cypher and Neo before the other scene reveal. They have like a moment together, and this is something that I've been I think we missed actually a more important part in the construct before Neo wakes up from his sleep, is they go to the jump program.
Oh, all that stuff.
Yeah, and I think this is important to note on, is a lesson of reality and believing. And Neo needs to change his mind. This is what Morpheus has been trying to do from the get-go, that especially in the training, that you can't think like you normally do. You can't, the laws and the physics and the reality that you've known, you need to separate yourself from that. This scene to me really echoes Luke in Empire Strikes Back, when he's using the Force to lift his ship out of the swamp, and he doesn't, and he's like, I don't believe it. And then Yoda takes it out, and this is why you fail. And that's kind of the same thing that with Neo, why he falls. And also, I think that scene also reveals that Neo's actually a Looney Tunes character, or an Acme, because it's owned by Warner Brothers, and he kind of fell right into the pavement, and
and he bounces out.
So I thought, oh yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, seeing this scene too also reminded me of the original Spider-Man movie, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, when Tobey Maguire was learning how to shoot his webs and climb a wall and jump from, so like it was kind of, that kind of thing. Yeah.
And another important thing, when they come out of the program, you see Neil, there's blood in his mouth, and he's like, he kind of looks in shock. I thought this is a real important piece, that we got so comfortable. You're like, oh, you can do anything in the Matrix. You're plugged in there, so it's not. It is real, but it's not real. But then this was clever in the movie, or at least I think, and that if you die in the Matrix, you died here, right?
You know, if you get hurt in the Matrix, your mind makes it real.
Yeah. Yeah, like your mind. But, as we learned, it's not 100% accurate.
Yeah.
You know? Neil? Trinity? Anyways. So then, obviously, then we go back to what we're kind of talking about. Cypher and her have their moment. She talks about jealousy, and then they have their moment. And then Neo and him are walking the construct again. They have the lady in red. I don't know if that's important, but... And like he goes on to saying people are happy in this reality, and most don't want to unplug.
Yeah. And
they'll fight. And then this is another good thing that he says to him that every person in the Matrix is a problem. And I think that's why they have the girl in the red. Every person can be an agent. So I thought that was a good piece of information. And then he says how powerful the agents are, they're still bound to the rules of the Matrix. But where he's saying the one, none of those apply to. And then...
Well, he mentions that rules can be bent and sometimes broken.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a good thing to learn, like to know that, you know, when you're in the Matrix, these people here can bend the rules, and maybe the odd person can break them.
When Cypher and him have their little moment, one thing is you see Cypher's kind of covering up stuff when he comes there. But one thing I couldn't understand, when Cypher goes and sees Smith in the program, he's telling him he wants to be plugged in and stuff. My understanding is that someone has to watch over them when they're plugged in there. There's two ways that Cypher, either he plugs himself in, which the movie has not established, so I don't know if this is a plot hole, or he covers his tracks enough so when they go in together, he's doing stuff, but they think he's doing something else. Because how does he's right now plugged in the Matrix, and he's having dinner with the agents.
Okay, like, even though they don't show it in the film, I do think you could plug yourself in.
But well, I don't know. It seems like you have
I think it's possible.
Okay, but it has not established that.
No, because you don't see it.
It doesn't, but no, this is...
They don't say you can't plug yourself in. They never say that.
It's pretty clear that they have something to get him out of it.
Maybe to get out.
No, don't make assumptions.
Maybe get out, but you could physically grab the cable and plug it in.
No, you're out. You could. Well, then if they
No, to plug yourself in, you could.
Yeah, but he's still got to get himself out.
Okay, but I don't know about getting out, but I know you could get yourself in. I'm just saying, you could get yourself in.
Well, you don't know. We haven't seen it.
Well, it's a cable. You can't put a cable behind your head and plug it into your head. Like, that's all it is. You lay in the chair and you put the cable back in your head. You could plug yourself in.
Well, yeah,
sure, you could.
Maybe you could, but we haven't seen that, so we don't know if you actually can.
Well, just because we haven't seen it doesn't mean it can't be done. It's simply just a cable that Trinity would take from the thing and just plug them in.
You're applying, like, our reality.
It's just it's just normal.
No, but the thing is, yeah, you can plug yourself in, but the thing is, that might not be, you may not be able to, the way how it's set up, that you have to have a handler strapping you in.
We'll have to dig deeper into that, but I'm not so sure.
I just thought that was I don't know if that's a plot hole, or when he is seeing them in there, because you see him in that scene, he might be able to. I'm speculating that he covers it up. So they're all plugged in there. There's someone watching him, but they can't really see what he's really doing. He's kind of masking his activities in the Matrix. That's what I'm figuring. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Is that when he's plugged in there with them, or he's by himself, and he has, say, Tank is there, or Dozer, they're like, oh yeah, he's over at that thing doing this and that, but in reality,
he's having dinner with
the agents.
I see that too. Like, that's
because
that's a possibility, but again, they don't show that.
Okay, so you can plug him in, but he's still got to get plugged out. So,
I don't know.
And if he's doing this while everybody's sleeping by himself, they're going to wake up and like, hey, what are you doing in the Matrix? Like, why are you plugged in? Are you in a construct? Unless he's like, I'm in a construct, but he's in the Matrix. Anyways, I guess we don't need to really...
If anybody knows out there, let us know.
Yeah. And also that scene he has with Neo, I thought he was like also trying to plant doubt in Neo. Like, you think he's the one, like, kind of like the burden of what Morpheus is expecting of him. I like that. Like, there's these subtle...
because he digs at him. He's like, you don't really think you're the one, right? It's like, I'm just a regular guy.
And I love when he's like talking to Smith and he's like, when you plug me in, I want to be someone important. I want to be rich. I want to be like an actor.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Okay. One more detail before we move on to this. Smith calls all the Red Pills by their Matrix name, like Mr. Anderson and Mr. Regan and stuff. But, like, we never learn Morpheus's, like, Matrix name. Do you know it? Have you ever found out?
No, but I suppose if I played the video game, I might have.
And when they even have their meeting, he says, you know, the legendary or the Morpheus. He doesn't call him by the Matrix name. So I was kind of curious about that.
Yeah, I think if anyone needs to know any more details, it's going to have to be the Animatrix or the video game, because there's just so much more lore and story and world building in that than what I know. Because I just know the films, but I'm going to have to make myself watch the Animatrix, I think, because I really want to find out all the other stuff about it. Anyways, we should go back to the scene after Trinity and Cypher have their little talk there. After this, we see the Nebuchadnezzar from the outside for the first time, so we get to see like what the ship actually looks like on the outside as it's traveling through the what I believe is the sewers of the Earth. What's basically left to these people, because all they have left is one last human city called Zion, and they travel around in these little electromagnetic ships that kind of use magnetic forces against the walls of the sewers to kind of navigate their way through. And the machine world has built these sentinels, so in order to combat the last humans in the Earth there, these floating, I'm not sure how they are able to navigate their way through time and space, because like it seems like they're just floating. So I don't know, I feel like it's maybe a slight plot hole on how these things move about, because you don't actually get to see any sort of power structure that they're using other than being connected to their, you know, probably their robot motherboard or whatever you want to call it. But seeing these sentinels fly around, I'm not sure how they're flying, because there's just no physical things on their bodies to show how they would fly. There's no propulsion, there's no electromagnetic fields, so there's just nothing like that. So
yeah, you kind of wonder like what's sustaining them, like their power.
Yeah, but they're really creepy though when they do kind of fly around.
Maybe they're like short range flyers, like TIE fighters.
Yeah, sure, we'll go with that.
Fighters.
I don't
short
know.
range fighters, not flyers.
But they're really cool looking. I mean, they're freaking awesome
really cool.
looking. They have I think they have like 24 tentacles on them, and they each have a claw, and some of them have like little, you know, those things that capture sound, like they use at football games, those big domes that they use, like look like they have those, like to capture sound, and so you get to see like the Nebuchadnezzar. They kind of they sense one on the radar.
Yeah. So
they go and hide and turn off all the power. And they can't even talk because they have to be quiet because they can pick up any sound.
But we got a little bit of Trinity exposition. So they weren't totally quiet, but
yeah.
See, we got to know about them.
Yeah, but it's important that we do discuss these Sentinels because they are a big part of the lore of the film.
Well, they play a bigger part in the other subsequent movies.
Yes, bigger part. Yeah. So we didn't want to skip over this. We did miss it, but we just make sure you know about it.
Yes, it is our duty to please... Never mind.
Once again, Sam Jackson.
Yeah, it's Sam Jackson.
Yo, man, you best back off. I'm getting a little pissed here.
All right. This ends part 2 of our Matrix Roundtable, and we look forward to you tuning in for our third and final part as we conclude our discussion for this groundbreaking film, The Matrix.
Okay, so we're at the scene where they're going to go meet the Oracle. Mm-hmm. And as soon as they get out of the car, Cypher then opens his cell phone and throws it in the dumpster right beside the building where they are. So this is telling. Why did he do that? And this is right after him having the meeting with the agent that he wants out. Mm-hmm. So he's sabotaging the crew here. Yeah. So he's giving up the location of everybody. Yeah. So that's why he throws open his cell phone, throws it in the can. No one else knows. His signal is open, so now they don't have very long until the agents show up. But so Neo and Morpheus move in to go see.
They see the Oracle, And so the apartment block that they go, you start to think that all the agents have to do is just go to like lower impoverished places.
Pretty much.
In the Matrix, because like all these hiding spots or all these meetups are in like squalor suburbans.
Yeah, like it looks like a really poor neighborhood. Why aren't they going to the suburbs?
I don't know, because you think they'd be least likely would check there, because you think, well, if they're going to hide there. I don't know. But anyways.
I think this maybe, I don't know, it's not like rude to say, but I think it just gives a better cinematic effect.
It does.
It really does.
Yeah. Like everything, like the set decoration and all that, the lighting, the atmosphere, it's perfect. And so once we get into the apartment, right off the bat, we see future, looks like potential, I don't know potential ones, but potential people to be unplugged out of the Matrix.
They call them potentials, but I don't really know what they mean by that. Potentials.
Well, you see, one is has a laptop, so skilled in computers. Neo. Was Neo one? One is skilled in chess, so deductive skills.
Yeah.
And a lady carrying a baby. So my question is, which one is the potential? And one is using telekinesis.
Yeah, there's two using telekinesis. Those two kids.
Well, yeah, there's a little girl with the blocks
to each other. They were handing it back to each other.
And, so two kids were, and then we have the Gandhi.
The kid with the spoon,
or Buddha. And do you notice? Did you, when you saw the TV movie playing in the background, was these giant rabbits?
I'm late for a very important date. No time to say hello, goodbye. I'm late.
Well, that's probably another reminder of Neil is following the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Alice in Wonderland.
Good Easter egg.
We're looking at, I thought that. I'm like, what are these giant rabbits there? So I'm sure that's like an old 1950s or 60s like horror movie, like an Attack of the Birds, or and so then we meet that bald-headed kid that's bending the spoons with his mind. So he's the Spoon Man from that Soundgarden song, right?
Must be.
Yeah. And you notice like there's 6 spoons, and you see 5 are bent. Does this allude to that 5 before Neo that they're talking about?
Yeah, I believe that.
Is he the 6th one?
Yep.
So, okay, then he goes and meets the Oracle. And I like this scene because she's baking cookies. Who doesn't want to watch someone bake cookies?
It's really weird when he walks in there and she's sitting there at the stove and she's hunched over on a chair. Mm-hmm. And she's got her elbow like on the counter and she's like facing the stove. Like she's intensely waiting for these cookies to be finished.
Or waiting for Neil.
But it's weird because like the way she's just sitting and staring at the stove, it's like, man, she's really into baking.
You haven't done that?
No,
just will them to be cooked and done. So
I wish.
Put those beautiful things in your mouth.
You mean I have to get off the couch?
Well, you don't want to burn down that place.
I guess.
Or burn the cookies. Worse, burn your cookies.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. So, and then we learn that she can predict and also cause future events. She references. I like how it's typical, like Keanu Reeves. And actually, you see this play out in his real life in interviews. So she references that, you're cuter than I thought. No wonder why she likes you. And he's like, who? Not too bright. Yeah, so things are kind of oblivious to his eyes, minds. This thing kind of shows us that she plants seeds in them. Not only she predicts it, but she plants seeds. Like, she plants a seed probably in Trinity, maybe that. So you're gonna love this guy. Yeah. So so it's like that determinism kind of thing going on there.
Yeah.
Because is it, is she predicting or is she causing?
Yeah, this is really important scene of the film. You think, oh my god, like Neo's gonna go to see the Morpheus, and she's gonna be like, yes, you are the one. But really, she just says like, no kid, sorry, you're not the one. Yeah. And he's like, you know what? That's okay, because like Morpheus was the one that really cared about it anyways, and I didn't, like you could tell Neo played it off, and at some point, like when someone tells you, I think you're the one, I'm going to take you to a special person that can confirm that, and you're going to be like, okay, I'm kind of excited, but I'm going to play it off, and you go there, and she tells you you're not the one. Deep down, he is going to be disappointed, for sure, that he's not the one, because he was just told by many people he's the one. And he's got that expectation in his head, but then when she says, "Sorry, kid, you're not the one," he's like, "Okay, like that's cool. Like he can relax. He can be like, hey, there's no more pressure then on me. I can do my thing. She told me I'm not the one. That's it. Right? Whether Morpheus believes it or not, she told me I'm not the one. I'm not the one." And so that sets up the rest of the film on how he perceives himself.
And I like how she manipulates him because she's like, "Okay, here, kid, let me take a look at you."
Yeah.
Clearly, she's not doing anything.
No.
She already
open
knows.
your mouth.
Open your mouth and kind of
say like,
and it tells him that So, like you said, she doesn't tell him once, so she's manipulating him, and I like how she goes into telling him that he's gonna have to make a dark choice, and then she kind of goes on to. And this is her manipulation. Oh, poor Morpheus. And it's interesting how when she talks to him that she talks about how like blinded he is by his belief in his mission, but also she kind of says, "What would we do without him, though?" So there's kind of like, it's almost like his own blindness will maybe lead to his own ruin, but without him, we would be ruined. I thought that was an interesting kind of, like, because Morpheus, you need him, and that kind of lead, why Neil kind of goes to his choice, and she says, like, either him or Morpheus is going to die, and the thing is, the truth is, she knows it's Neil who has to die, is going to die, and the thing is, if she told him he was the one, he would not make the choices that he did. So again, the manipulation in the right way. Because I love the scene where it's like, the kicker is, if I didn't tell you about that plant that I told you that you're going to knock down, would you?
Yeah.
I thought that was just
I know,
on.
Cool.
I loved it. And another note, she hands him a plate of cookies, 6 on them. So that alludes to the 6 anomalies, which we learn about the 6 renditions of the one with Neil.
Yeah.
I thought, even now, like that was pretty cool. And the thing is, that scene made me just want to eat cookies. So bad. Like, even now, I want to eat some cookies. Those cookies look so freaking good.
They did.
Yeah. And there's something about the lady that played the Oracle, because like she obviously passed away during the making.
She didn't finish.
No, she didn't finish. But there was something like she really exhibits like authority. Like, she was very compassionate when she was being like addressing him in a non-compassionate way, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, there was something mother, and then her baking.
Well, in your typical smoking grandmother.
Smoking that, and then telling you, and just being kind of like a matter of fact, but also whimsical. She was like almost like, in a way, like the Cheshire Cat. Like, she had kind of like a little bit of a twinkle in her eye.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really enjoyed her. I preferred this actress over the other one that did the rendition. I mean, she did the best she could, but there was something about Gloria Foster, how she just encapsulated this character, because this is, in some ways the most powerful character.
Yes.
Very important character.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
It is, yep.
And then he he's walking, he sees Morpheus, and he wants to tell him there. Morpheus says, "What she told you is between you and her." And and he kind of has that Morpheus, that belief, like nothing sways Morpheus.
Yeah.
Like nothing. I love that.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah. So then they head back, and this is where the big Cypher betrayal scene ensues. So they pull up to the hotel, and I like this moment where they both get out of the car. Cypher smiles at Neil, and you notice Neil, he really looks at him suspicious. Like Neil's like, nah, there's something going on.
Yeah.
And do you have anything to add to this before we get to the Black Cat?
No.
Yeah. So this isn't one of those, the deja vu scene. Walks, you see this cat go, and then he looks back and he sees the same cat go in the same way, and it's a deja vu. And Trinity explains to him, a deja vu means a glitch in the Matrix. And then so the building change, and everybody sees something.
Like the windows were taken out; they were just pure brick. Yeah.
And little Mouse there's cut off from all of them because it's the bricks, and he's like the first in line. So Mouse pulls out his arsenal.
Yeah, he just goes all balls to the wall, like, guns blazing, like, say hello to my little friend.
Yeah, and but he doesn't last too long. He gets her.
He went down fighting.
And then you see him in the chair. He's kind of he's taking hits. Yeah. And the blood is spurting out of his mouth.
So here we get to see what really happens to someone who gets shot up in the Matrix.
Yeah.
What their body does.
Yeah, like really, like there's no holes in him, but it's like an internal thing.
Yeah.
So like he almost like he bleeds out.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Cool scene.
Yeah, a very good one. Mouse gets it. Cypher. So then they're getting surrounded. They have no way out. Tank is like seeing something's not right here. What? You know, his face. What the hell?
Yeah.
Something's happening. And they get no way out, so they decide to go into the walls to escape.
Well, they find the wet wall, right, where the
wet wall, yeah.
The bathroom was, or this big shower area, and I guess there's like a big space because they went where the piping was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they needed to find the wet wall. So Tank brings them the schematics of the building and says, "Okay, yeah, go there," and that's where you can break in, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're climbing the wall. They're all inside the wall.
Yeah.
So you can see a little hole in the wall at the bottom, but they climb up. And so all the SWAT team comes up, and it's dark, and they're using their flashlights and their guns, and they can't see them. And then all of a sudden they're like, okay, stop, quiet, quit climbing. They have to be really quiet. Now, I this might have been a coincidence, but I know like one of them inside the wall ends up like moving their foot a little bit above, and some dust kind of comes and falls down on Cypher. And Cypher kind of like sneezes or coughs or whatever. Now, I don't know if that was legit coughing or sneezing from the dust, or did he do it on purpose to give them up because he is in fact safe in here. He's made a deal with the devil. He's okay. They're not going to kill him. So maybe he was like, I'm just going to cough anyways and get all these people caught. I don't know. It's hard to say.
Well, either way, he set the trap.
He set the trap,
So, like,
but maybe he was trying to, because maybe he was worried they were going to get away. You know what I mean? Like, let's not let these guys escape. I better make some noise.
Well,
here.
he wants to get plugged in.
He wants plugged in.
Yeah,
so who knows? It could have been a sneeze or a cough from the dust.
Well, very well could be. That's kind of. I mean, I don't know if maybe that's the way they played the scene, but you're like, is it legit or did he?
Yeah, like did he do it on purpose? I don't know.
I don't know. I tend to lean to he did.
Yeah, I'd have to say that too because he wants out, right?
He does.
Yeah.
And the thing is, we learned that he is safe, so it doesn't matter. So, and then this moment, Agent Smith punches through the wall, and I guess his hands of
Morpheus punches through the wall.
No. At first, Neil, Agent Smith punches through the wall, grabs him, but he breaks through the wall with his hands. He grabs Neil's, and then Morpheus is kind of channels his chi.
Yeah,
and he jumps out, and then of course Neil's like, no, don't do it, don't do it for me, and get him out of here. Get him out of here, and Trinity takes him out of there with Cypher in tow, so they're in good hands with him. Mm-hmm. And we have Morpheus' kind of big sacrifice so they can get away. And I love this scene. I can't understate that because he's on top of him. And at this point, we've heard about the agents and we know that they're super deadly. But we've also seen Morpheus that he was in control with his fight scenes with Neo. So you're like, well, Morpheus can maybe handle himself. And as we learn, no, Morpheus is outmatched instantaneously.
Just a little bit he handles himself for a little bit, but then the agent really takes over.
Even just when he's on top of him and he just pushes his hands away, you're like, and you see and Agent Smith, and again, this is the progression of him emoting more emotion because he's excited to finally meet Morpheus.
Yep.
You see the little gleam, so you're seeing that little spark of individualism in Smith versus his other counterparts.
They're always stoic, Their faces are just stoic. Yeah.
And then they get kind of cut off by the SWAT team, and you see Cypher down, and then kind of separated from Neo and Trinity, and obviously that was probably a distraction to get him by himself. And then you see him on the phone there, and there's a car accident, so it was probably caused by the agents.
Yeah,
and he's going, get me out of here. He was saved, so he was fine. So he gets out of there. So they unplug him first.
Yep,
and that's when the big betrayal. Shoots Tank and buzzes him with Darth Sidious's electrodes
and Dozer,
and then Dozer screams a typical movie when you see someone get come on, but it's his brother, so Dozer gets it, and then this is where he gets really kind of sinister because
he gets to play God here.
He gets to play God, but he does it in a way that you kind of like see you get his rationalization. Like I'm not saying I agree with him, but you can kind of see because he felt that Morpheus kind of led them down the wrong path. But, he takes out APOC, and I thought, like...
Well, hold on. Just before you do that, let's tell everybody, because we didn't mention this, that if you're in the Matrix and they unplug you, you die. You have to get out of the Matrix by getting to that landline to get back into your ship. If you're still in the Matrix and you don't get out and they unplug you, you die. So this is where Cypher is sitting right now, with the power to unplug a few people in the Matrix right now. While they're in, he can unplug them and virtually killing them.
Yeah. Well, that would suck if they just got into, like, just when they're cruising there back and they got in an accident and everybody gets unplugged, your whole crew's dead.
Right?
And they're in the Matrix.
Yeah, so he starts off with...
APOC.
APOC. Yeah.
Takes him out. And I thought this was interesting that he took out outside of Mouse, because I thought Mouse had more of a, impression.
I know.
APOC didn't, but he took the less important person first.
Yeah.
And then he took out Switch, who she had
the next important.
Took her out, and then Trinity, and just like it's really kind of creepy and eerie, his scene, because you can see right there when he's like, right next to her face and her mouth, and he's
sitting on her.
He's sitting on her and
telling her how beautiful she is.
Beautiful she is, and he convinced himself at one time that he was in love with her, where he was in love with her, and you could just see probably right then all the longing and the resentment and the jealousy, but then also almost like he I don't want to say, he almost pities her because of, like, her blind allegiance, and then her obsession with Neo.
Yeah.
And then just as equally is when he hops on Morpheus, like, hey, giddy up, buddy.
Yeah.
And then he kind of boom. This guy lied to us, and like he actually had some good points. Like you can kind of see a guy like him would be dejected, and that maybe shows you even stuff that Morpheus oversaw, that because that life they're living can't be a good one.
No, they're eating slop.
And you're on the run.
Yeah.
It's got to be, you have to be strong-willed,
resilient, super resilient to live that life, because it's a tough life.
It would be.
Yeah.
And that's probably why, like he says, most people can't handle that reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then he works his way to Neo, and he says, listen, like, pretty boy here, like, he's going to get it. And
Jesus Christ.
And he said, if he's the one, then there's got to be something or some way to stop me from unplugging him right now. And he's like, this, and then all of a sudden he turns around and he looks and he goes, no way. And sure enough, it's Tank. He did not die from the blast that he got zapped with, and he ends up shooting Cypher and killing him. Mm-hmm. And next thing you know, the phone rings and they pick up and they're back in, and Tank saves the day.
Well, yeah, he saved the day, but also what comes to mind is, what if he did unplug him? Would Neo die there because he wasn't ready at that point, or would he have survived? Like that's it brings up an interesting question. Like, he would have
died because he wasn't a full believer in himself.
He wasn't a full believer. Yeah. So it comes a question. But if he's the one, would it have mattered? Like it comes to these questions. Like, would have you died, or would have you? Because the thing is, he has to die to be reborn, to resurrect into Neo. That's kind of his journey.
Yeah.
He's the Jeebus of this.
He is absolutely.
This world.
He is. Yeah.
He's their Jeebus. So you comes to mind, like, would he have died? But anyways, yeah. So, but Tank saves the day, and they get Trinity and Neo out.
Yeah.
Without poor Morpheus.
Yep.
No.
Yeah, so then right after this...
before we go, one thing I'm kind of curious, what the Oracle told Cypher. I was speculating that maybe she told him, because she manipulates things and says stuff, was it possible she told Cypher that he betrayed Morpheus? Because in order for Neo to become the one, he has to die to be reborn. So is it possible, because she told Neo he's not the one, she told Trinity she'd love, you know what I mean? Is it possible she kind of told... Because he's basically Judas here, Cypher.
She probably would have told Cypher that he is the one, and that he was probably going to steal Trinity from him. Not steal, but like you know, because he loved, like you said, he had feelings for Trinity. So I wonder if she used that against him to get him to be like angry.
She could say, "You will betray the one you love for loving someone else, or something like that." I could see her saying something like that.
Because she's gonna light the fire under Cypher to do this.
Yeah, because I'm curious what she would have said to him in person. If I'm assuming all of them go to her.
You would assume.
You're assuming?
Yeah.
So I'd be kind of curious what her
that.
conversation with Cypher is. Or because she obviously knows.
Yeah.
And what she said to him. Like, I don't know what she said to him, but I'd be curious what she said to Cypher.
Yeah, she would have had to say something that would have lit his fire, for sure.
Yeah. So, at this point, I think we end up going to the Morpheus interrogation scene. This is kind of the big scene that goes up there. And good old Agent Smith kind of does a big monologue. And it's great. It's great stuff. And he kind of unloads some stuff here about the past Matrix simulations, about, how they've kind of upgraded.
Yep.
I thought that was good. We learned Smith but then we learn we learned that he wants out of it.
Yeah, no, basically he tells the other agents to leave the room, leave me with them, and because he doesn't want the other agents to hear him talk like this, because he has a separate agenda, like you said, individualism. He is separating himself from the other agents. He doesn't want to be in the Matrix. He wants out of the Matrix. And the only way he can get out is he can get the codes to Zion. Mm-hmm. And that's why he's been after these guys, and that's why he's after Morpheus's, information. He's like, I want the codes to Zion. I can't be here anymore. He's just angry. He's not happy there. And so he gives him a serum. Well, I guess the agents gave him a serum before they left the room.
Because they want to extract the codes from him.
Yeah, so they give him this serum that kind of allows him to be more free-minded. It's like if we drink alcohol, we say whatever the top of our mind, right? So basically that's what but it wasn't working like as fast as Agent Smith wanted. So he was just like getting brutal with them, and and he was just describing how the humans were disgusting beings, and he like rubbed his greasy wet forehead or head, and then he would like have it on his fingers, and he's shoving it up Morpheus's nose, and Morpheus has got his
smell
eyes,
your filth.
Smell your filth, yeah, and then his eyes are rolling back in his head, and it's just a really, really cool scene. You're like, holy shit, this is getting really dark.
Yeah, it's like almost a conundrum for Agent Smith, because like at one point he wants out of this Matrix because he's grown to hate it, and he's like outgrown it, but he hates the human race.
Yeah.
So what does he do?
What do you want to do, man?
What do you want to do?
You're not going to be happy anywhere.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, it's kind of like you're at this point. We learn what his end goal is, but at this point you're like, well, what's your big plan then? Okay, where are you gonna go? You're a program.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but it is pretty cool. And then this tank kind of unloads that, because what Morpheus knows about Zion, they might have no choice but to pull the plug on him to save Zion.
To save Zion, right.
Yeah. This moment, this is where we really see Neo has changed after talking to the Oracle. Like there's a shift in him, like just how he holds himself, how he's standing. Like you said, talking to her and telling him he's not the one was a big weight off his shoulders. Because not knowing that he's not the one, he's more confident. He's like, okay, I'm not the one. Doesn't matter. I'm determined. And he's like, I can believe in myself. So, or those frickin' cookies are that damn good, because she said, he'd feel like $1 million after.
Well, in this scene, he tells Trinity, I'm not the one. She told me I'm not the one. And she goes, no, that's impossible. You have to be the one. Mm-hmm. Because, and then he goes, why? Like, she didn't finish her sentence because she loves him, right? She loves the one, right? Mm-hmm. And he's like, no, I'm just another guy. Mm-hmm. Like, so this right here, like, he was told he's not the one, but she believes he is the one because she would fall in love with the one. But yet he's like, no, I'm just another guy. Like, he's being so humble. He's keeping him grounded. Mm-hmm. Like, this is super important. And this is just a great way to conduct yourself as a person.
And him being more grounded and accepting, like, what he is, he makes a choice. He wants to save Morpheus. And he's also believing, which in turn, he's becoming the savior that they're talking about.
Yeah.
I thought that was very cool. We know how this all turns out and stuff, but there's some part of me that kind of I like the idea that he wasn't the one. Like when I first watched this movie for the first time, I'm like, this is cool. He's not. What if he's not the one? Like, I mean, obviously, you know he's going to be the one.
Yeah.
But part of you is like, it might be really a cool dynamic if he's not the one. Like the true one that they're talking about, but he does become a one in a different way.
Well, we might get that in Resurrections. We'll see.
You know, but yeah, so him confessing he's not the one, but he's more confident. It's kind of cool. It's that.
Yeah, I'm really liking it.
Cool.
Yeah. And so they're really discussing hardcore now to unplug Morpheus.
Mm-hmm.
Like they've come to the realization that there's nothing they can do to save him. You can't fight off agents. No one's ever done it and lived.
Mm-hmm.
So they're just gonna be like, no, we gotta unplug him. So literally, is it Trinity or Tank's hand on the plug?
It's Tanks. Tanks is the one who's like...
He's like so close to pulling the plug. And then Neil's like, wait.
This is not...
This I knew this was going to happen. I was going to make a choice whether he lives or dies. And then he's like, I have to make a choice.
Yeah.
And then he's like, no, we're going to save him. And they're like, no one's ever done that before. And so like they start to devise a plan and, you know, we need guns.
Yeah. And
lots of guns.
And he's like, I'm going in there. And then Trinity's like, I'm coming with you. He's like, no, you're not. And she's like, whoa, back it up.
Yeah.
Because you know what? He means more to me than he means to you.
That's
so
right. Yeah.
And I like the scene that he doesn't even say nothing. And this is like movie storytelling that you don't see as often, because like a lot of these characters, when they don't want someone they care about in there, they go on this long, unreasonable, but it's like, no, man, because he's seen her in action. He's seen what she can do.
Oh.
He's better off having her there. And then we get to that, he goes into that construct. And
she technically knows more than him.
She does. Yeah. Well, she's at level, like at 303.
Yeah,
like she's at an advanced course in this thing, so he'd be foolish not to bring her. I know he cares for her and he worries about her, but like he needs her. And I think this right here, when we go into the resurrections, it'll be interesting. Like I'm starting to believe that. I'm going to get into that when we go into our speculation.
Yeah.
I don't want to get ahead of myself. Yeah. A person gets excited and you start, your brain goes, but so you see this great scene of these rows of ammunition and guns flies out there, and she's kind of like, you think this is not going to work? Where she's asking him, you think this is going to work? Because it has to work or something. And I just like that. What else? Yeah, just a great scene. The simulations, I thought was kind of cool that they're almost like cheat codes, because they're taking from this construct, they can take all this equipment into the actual Matrix. So it makes you think, what else could they
It's a huge
bring?
cheat code.
They could smuggle in there. Yeah, it's a cheat code. Like, this is awesome. Yeah, it's a cheat code.
Yeah, it's up, down, left, right, X.
Yeah. So I was like, I bet you all the gamers, like you gamers,
for your
like,
Xbox,
they get us. Yeah. It was always fun back in the day, after watching this movie and talking to people that were like more into video games, because they were the ones like, the Matrix was for me. Like they're like, they get us, like, you know, because like I was never a gamer.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, it's really cool.
It is pretty cool. Okay, so they're gearing up, and we go back to Smith, and we see, like you said, Smith is getting more and more impatient.
Yeah.
He kicks the other agents out. He's showing more human emotion. No longer like the T-1000 from the Terminator.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, due to the other agents, is Agent Smith like a program that's been there longer than those other agents? Why I'm saying that, again, I'm going to go back to the Terminator reference. In the Terminator, you learn in Terminator 2 that the longer the Terminator operates and interacts with humans, it will adapt to more human emotions, and it will show more human. Because when he first comes on there, he's more machine, but the longer he's around John Connor and he spends time with him, he becomes his qualities. He shows, he emotes more. And I was wondering, like, maybe that's why Agent Smith, he's been in the program longer. Is it possible something similar happens. Like, what separates him from the other agents? Why does he, show more of these emotions? Like that's where my question is like, is he just a little bit of an older program that's been there longer? It's kind of like C-3PO, like all that data. Like, he's never had a memory wipe.
Yeah,
like C-3PO.
guess.
I don't know. This made me kind of think.
Yeah,
of that.
it might be.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they've devised a plan here to go get Morpheus out. So they bring lots of guns with them.
Mm-hmm.
They show up at the main floor of the building with a few guards present, and you see they walk in, and there's a metal detector, like the airport metal detectors. You put your bag in, and it detects whatever all that shit in there. And he puts his bag down. The X-ray machines. Yeah, you just see nothing but guns in the bag, and the guy, what the fuck? And so then the guy goes, what does he say? Like, empty.
Freeze
no, he says like empty your pockets or something like that. And
he shows all his explosives.
Yeah, he opens
and
his jacket. It's like, it's going down.
Oh shit!
Yeah. So,
and is there the one cop that comes there where the one guy guarded freeze?
Oh yeah. But for 2 minutes straight, I clocked it. 2 minutes straight of gunfire.
Oh, beautiful!
It's beautiful because you see like the brick and the mortar and then the concrete just chipping away at all the pillars of the building as they're firing, and they're doing all these acrobatic things in slow motion, and it's really cool.
Well, just seeing like Trinity like walk on the walls and like sidestep and like just those somersaults. And
then Neo's doing cartwheels with the gun. And
he's doing these. Yeah, it's awesome. He's doing the cartwheels, and then she's doing all kinds of shit. And this movie really highlights, and this might have been really the start that you would have actors do some action scenes, and then the rest was you can kind of tell it's a stunt performer. Where this movie really integrated the actors, like good polished actors in action sequences more so than you have normally seen. And then it kind of you saw in the Bourne Identity. Where, because up until that point, you had the action guys like the Jean-Claude Van Damme, the Sylvester Stallone, you know what I mean?
Yep.
The Jackie Chan, where now you can train polished actors to play these heavily like action choreographed scenes.
Yeah.
And this movie really personifies that. It's
like you said in the beginning when they didn't know how to kick or punch. No, they're doing this.
They're doing this. And this is the one scene, because the movie is a serious, I wouldn't say, it's not like it's a dour, but it's not like a fun, like high, movie.
No.
And this was the one scene where there was like that levity of humor.
Yeah, let's
kind
have
of
some
infused
fun.
in it. It was like, let's have some fun.
Yeah.
And this scene, like clipped in the trailer and TV spots, like this is the one that like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I gotta see this movie, man. This looks interesting. Especially this scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
And I like after all shooting and stuff, and they're walking to the elevator kind of nonchalantly. And the thing is, this scene is like, they're essentially killing like innocent civilians.
Yep.
Like, it's their, but I guess they're part of the system.
Well, if those security guards were smart, they just would have fucking ran out of the building and went home.
Yeah. And in their defense, like we learned earlier, anyone can be a threat. Because anyone could be an agent. But you start thinking, like, holy shit, man, like, these poor saps are getting, like...
Yeah, they're probably making, like, bare minimum wage just to be a security guard.
And during that time, good old Smith, he disconnects his earpiece. It's another good scene. But then he doesn't know what's going on, so the other two agents pop through the door, and they're like, what are you doing? And they don't really spend time because, but what happened? And then he plugs back in, and... Well, they end up on the rooftop. I know they are on the elevator, which is a cool scene.
Yes, that was cool.
And he shoots it, and right there you see him. He's in his mode where he's ascending to that.
Before he shoots the cable...
Doesn't he say something?
Yeah, he says there is no spoon.
There is no spoon!
Yes, I love that.
Spoon allegory.
There is no spoon.
No spoon, and then boom. And it's a great scene because you got the, you got Keanu Reeves and you got...
Trinity's in his arm.
Look, I mean, come on.
Yeah, come on.
Oh,
beautiful.
That was good. And like, because you see how fit they are in this film. And like Trinity.
He just pulls her in real tight.
Yeah. It's a cool scene. Like these two action heroes, boom, shot and just looking up,
like almost like a Bonnie and Clyde, as they're going through there. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Or Natural Born Killers, even.
Yeah, or Superman and Wonder Woman.
There you go.
Well, in my fan fiction, Superman and Wonder Woman. Just for all you lovebirds out there, maybe one day.
Yeah, there
Clark.
You go. Yeah,
that's my story. I'm going to write. And then they're on the rooftop. And this is another big action iconic
Yeah, it's
scene.
really heating up here.
Yeah, because then they have the run in with the because then we see T-1000, that helicopter, the guy morph into one of the agents, and he comes out there. Neil shoots at him, and he does the old, dodging the bullets, and he calls for Trinity, like Trinity, oh shit, and. Too late. He starts shooting, and then he goes into that bullet time sequence.
Yeah, and he starts dodging the bullets. He does like the backwards crab kind of move, and he's like, one bullets are whizzing by, and then one just grazes his leg.
Yeah.
It was such a great scene.
Oh, great scene! But I liked still that it's still not fast enough. Like he still gets kind of injured. So it's not like he's not tolerable. He's not there.
Perfect yet.
But then that sets up this dodge this where Trinity shoots him, and I just
he doesn't see Trinity, I don't know. But
it's Trinity. She's light on her feet.
Yeah, gun was to his head. There's no way you're dodging that.
Doesn't matter. It's a cool shot.
Yeah.
And like when you see it in slow motion, him flying back, and you see her with the gun. That
was a great
pose.
Yeah.
So and then she kind of has a talk with him that, how do you move fast like that?
He's like, not fast enough.
Typical Keanu Reeves, eh?
Yep. Staying humble.
Even Neil's humble.
Yeah.
And then...
she needs to learn how to operate the chopper, so she goes, tank.
Cheat code again.
Cheat code. Give me a program for a chopper, whatever the name of the chopper was. And then her eyes kind of twitch a little bit, and boom, she learned it. Okay, let's go.
Do you know how to fly this? Not yet, but I will.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
Mm-hmm.
You go run up to like a fucking airplane or a helicopter. Just hook me up.
No, definitely. Then they come there and they shoot into the room. And again, you see Agent Smith. No, he can't believe it, eh? Yeah. It's like, what?
How dare they? What is it, like a Gatling gun or whatever, and it's just firing like thousands of rounds
just unloading.
Yeah, and again, another beautiful shot from, this time, from the ground up. You're seeing the shell casings just rain down on the street, and it's just another vertical view of what's going on there at that moment. It was really cool.
Yeah, very, very cool. And then seeing them, and then they all got popped.
Well, and another really cool effect, what they did was when they shot I believe they shot the fire, the emergency.
Yeah, and then the water.
Right, and the water is spraying, and then so the whole
looks
level,
like the Matrix code.
Yeah, and then the whole level is full of water, and as they're firing, you see the bullets hit the water. And it's just like a wicked ripple effect as it goes through.
And then you see
the agents
fall backwards,
it's
from
deadly scene.
It's pretty cool. So all the agents are popped, they're done, but they're not done.
Yeah,
and so then he and it shows you like snapping Morpheus out of it. Because he has that moment, come on, Morpheus, and then, so he gets up, breaks the chain, and then he's running to jump to make the helicopter, but the agents are already back there in the room.
Yeah.
And this is a nice touch where they shoot and they catch his calf muscle. And this is kind of like before Neil couldn't make the jump in the program there.
Yep.
And he fails. But right there, he jumps, leaps to him. That's his confidence.
He didn't even think about it this time. He's like, he's not going to make it.
No, he jumps out. He's no longer afraid. He's no longer hesitant.
Yeah.
He is walking the path, knowing the path. He's walking the path. There's a difference, and Morpheus kind of says that. So he gets him and drops him off. And
he does it with conviction, how he grabs him midair, too.
He does.
Awesome.
And Agent Smith shoots. Of course, Agent Smith tries to get the last laugh, shoots it. So then the copter, and this is at this moment, I think when I first saw it, I'm like, holy shit, Neil's going to like frickin' hold up the helicopter and save the helicopter. But it was Trinity grabs the rope, shoots it, unhooks it.
So he holds her up.
But it's still even a better scene because the helicopter hits the building, and it causes like a wave,
and then an explosion of glass. Oh my god, that was awesome!
And then you see Trinity on the line there, kind of fly into, and I like how she hits the glass too hard.
Yeah.
So that was a cool effect. And then they meet up, and do you believe Trinity?
That was the moment there.
Great.
He's
scene.
the one. Like that is the defining moment for him.
And this kind of leads us to the subway.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, because they're looking for a landline.
They're looking for a landline for Apon. Yeah. They look for the landline, and of course Morpheus goes first.
Yeah, they have a little chat and whatever, but Morpheus goes first.
Kind of tells him that she told you what you needed to hear.
Yeah.
Kind of reassure,
Yeah.
Like, I know.
And then Neo and Trinity kind of have their little heart-to-heart a little bit there.
She was going to tell him.
And then the agent morphed himself into a homeless man laying on a bench nearby. Mm-hmm. So that became problematic right away.
Yeah.
So Trinity is on the phone. She's about to get out, and she picks it, like as it rings, she picks it up, and as she's about to get transferred back out of the Matrix, she sees Agent Smith coming at her with a gun. But anyway, so she gets out.
Well, doesn't she put her hand up on the...
Did she? Or was that when the truck hit?
That was in the earlier one. Hit. I wonder if that was foreshadowing when he puts his hand up to stop the bullet. Anyways.
Who knows? No. But so leaving Neo and Agent Smith to duel it out in the subway. Yeah. That would be awesome.
Yeah, and then it's that moment, he's like, they're both booted out, Trinity, they're back with Tank, and
all they can do is watch.
She's like, what is he doing? And he's like, he's beginning to believe.
Now, this, I saw, like, right when they squared off, when they each took their weapons and threw it away. And then you saw like the newspaper kind of flying between them in the subway, and I was like, man, this is like a Western showdown.
Well, it is like they're there. It's taken out of like the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Exactly.
At that moment, and I like how they run, but they run kind of like parallel with each other from each side, and then they leap to each other and they're shooting, and we get that bullet time. Cool moment where the bullets are flying. And you're seeing them like bending almost like space. And unload their clips.
Yep.
And they have some. You're empty. So
are you.
And then I love the little twirl that he does to get back into fighting Sans Neo. And then Agent Smith just.
Yeah, he stands up like
like Dracula, like Dracula.
Yeah. That was a weird thing.
What are you doing? Yeah. So and then he does it, and then but even before that, when they first see each other, he goes, Mr. Anderson.
Mr. Anderson. Mr. Anderson. Mr. Anderson.
Mr. Anderson.
Mr. Anderson. Mr. Anderson. Mr. Anderson. Goodbye, Mr. Anderson.
Again, I love Anderson, and he says, I'm going to enjoy killing you. Showing again that emotion. Because again, agents shouldn't worry about enjoying killing their adversary. It's just like, that's their job. So they go at it, and it's a good fight. And Niels, he's putting up a good fight. So you're seeing, holy shit, man.
Yeah.
And this is where you're like, okay, maybe he's not the one, but man, this is awesome. Like this scene, left and right, and like I think watching like the making of it, they kind of hit each other, like they were hitting each other real, because like Keanu was saying, you got to make it look as real as possible, and like we sometimes you don't pull your punches, so they're going for it, and it shows on screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then the fight takes its way into the subway track.
Yeah.
Because at this point, Agent has kind of laid a beating on Neo pretty good.
It's really getting where like it's a losing cause for Neo.
Yeah. Like he just can't.
No matter how hard he fights, it's just that and it's that believing but.
Yep. So and they have a little heart to heart here with Neo in a headlock, and Agent Smith is like, "Do you hear that?
The inevitability."
Inevitability. Yeah. So it's a great scene. Another good kind of talking from Agent Smith. He does a great speech.
Well, and again, just he like tops it off with Mr. Anderson. And he's like, "That's not my, it's Neo."
Yeah.
And then he pushes him up.
Yeah. So he escapes the grasp of Agent Smith.
Kills him, but
Yeah, kills him, but ends up
coming back off the train. Yeah, and that time he's like,
and this time he's like, "Fuck him out of here."
Yeah, you gotta get out of here.
Yep.
So they try to track him, and they lead him right back where the movie started in that 303 hotel, if you noticed. Right back to that place.
Right.
So that must have been like one of their adjustments. So he goes there, but Agent Smith already knows this. And that's why he cuts him off.
Yeah.
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 So, and that's a scene kind of you're like, I'd be honest with you, I wasn't expecting that.
No, that
Not
caught
back
me
then.
off guard.
That
No, like he opens the door.
Shit, they're gonna kill Neo.
Yeah, he opens the door and Agent Smith just has the gun pointed at him like point blank, and boom, one in the chest right away.
But then he ends up firing the whole clip because he's like taking no chance.
Yeah, he empties the clip.
Did he fire 6? Like,
I don't know.
I'm curious.
He probably
I
did.
wonder if it was like 6 he fired in him because the
He
6
probably
spoons, the
did.
6 cookies, the 6
He
iterations.
probably did.
I wonder. I'm gonna have to go back and check that out.
Yep. And then at this point, you're like, "Fuck, he's dead."
Yeah,
he's dead.
At first, because usually in these movies, they don't really kill the protagonist,
Right.
and in this type of movie. But then you're like, every now and again, they take a chance. Like you've seen The Departed, right?
No.
Oh, never mind then.
Don't roast me.
No, I'm not trying to roast you, but it's like,
Right.
damn it, that
I'm working
reference
on it.
doesn't help. Okay, so that example. Okay, that's. Anyways, part of you is like, this would be cool in a way. But man, they'll kill Neo. I don't want it, but that'd be interesting. And
It would be.
And you kind of know in the back of your mind, he probably is the one.
Yeah.
But
he needed one more affirmation to know that he was the one, and that was Trinity when
Love.
she whispered to him, "I love you," and that's when his heart started beating again. That was the last moment that was the last affirmation that he needed, and that was it. It worked. He got his heart beating again, and he rose up. And Agents was like, "No way."
Well, the power of love, and that goes back to I'm going to reference the Force. That why the Jedi can attain immortality is love and compassion.
Mm-hmm.
That's how, and that's the same. And if you look at a lot of like myths or especially like religions, love and compassion, and that's kind of like Jesus, love your neighbors, because even when he was crucified, he didn't condemn them, and that's kind of what happens with Neo,
right?
The power of love, compassion, and that. So, and he needed to die, and
Yeah, it's a beautiful moment.
Some people have a problem with that, but I don't.
No,
it's
not at all. I
man.
don't. Nope.
No. So that was a good scene. Then he raises, and you see the agents are like, "Huh, Agent Smith?" But he's not, because other agents are like, they don't know what to do. Their program this doesn't compute.
Right. They've never dealt with this before.
Don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Where Agent Smith's like, oh, so he tries to go for another one, and I like how now nonchalantly. And you can see the code, like he's looking at the green code of what it is, and it was so cool.
Yeah, he was so confident. He fought Agent with a hand behind. He even put his hand behind his back as he was blocking all his punches.
Oh, it was awesome. You're like,
and then when they fired more bullets at him, and then he's like, no.
Mm-hmm.
He just like, no, that's enough. I'm not. This is. I'm not doing this anymore.
And then during this time, we also have to highlight at this time the Sentinels zeroed in on them.
Yes.
So it was like when he was killed, the Sentinels were in there, and good old Morpheus was there with the MP or what's that?
It's electromagnetic pulse or something that they use to kill
the EP or something.
Yeah, EPs maybe. Yeah. So the Sentinels have broken into the hull of the Nebuchadnezzar, and they're working their way in, and they got like little saw blades on one of the end of their tentacles, and they're cutting their way in, and they're trying to kill the humans. And so they're like, hurry up, Neo, they got to get him to a phone because he needs to get out of the Matrix so they can unplug him, because they need to have everybody unplugged so they can turn this EP on to kill the Sentinels.
Yes.
So it's cutting it close. Like, it's literally...
Oh, she was right to the wire.
Right to the wire. Yeah, literally, so he ends up... doing his little Superman move inside of the agent, and he fucking explodes inside him, splits them to pieces.
And the other agents book it.
They run.
They skedaddle.
They're out of there.
And then so they unplug him. He's out there, and not only just when the Sentinel is incapacitated, Trinity and Neo
consummate.
consummate that moment with a kiss.
Do. Yep.
And Tank and Morpheus were on hand. So yeah, and that's pretty much. Then we kind of hear a dialing. We hear a phone dialing, and you kind of see. Like almost like a program like word, and it says anomaly, and because he's on the payphone, and he's calling, and you and I kind of had a conversation about this moment.
Yeah,
who was Neil speaking to? Like obviously he was speaking to us as the audience, for one, and then he's obviously speaking within the framework of that world. But was he speaking to the machines itself? Because at this point, obviously, he doesn't know who the architect is.
No, he doesn't.
But is it possible that's who he's actually inadvertently talking to? Because that's a callback to those multiple monitors that is watching him. Which
does he know about the architect?
No, he doesn't. But he knows the machines, and he's making a threat. He knows the threat is real, and he's stating
he could be speaking to the machines if they created the agents, right? Aren't they created by the machines?
Yeah, but I don't think he cares about the agents at this point.
No, but I think he's talking to the machines, like the head machines at this point.
Yeah, well, he's letting them know that, but it's just, you're kind of curious, like, who is he directly talking to? Like, like, I mean...
But I also think there's some symbolism in this speech. Definitely. I think it has some worldly views. How much eggnog have you had?
Hey man, it's getting late here.
Yeah, you're right. I think there's some symbolism in this speech. I think that maybe the writers of the film, the Wachowskis, maybe had some worldly views at the time, or probably still do. So maybe we can see that more. We can see more of that in Resurrections. But I feel like they're kind of calling for a more unified way of life amongst the whole world, and it gets into the political spectrum a little bit and the ideologies a little bit. I feel like it's because when you say like we want a life without borders or boundaries or whatever, I don't know, I feel like that's more than just within the film. I think that's more for like us, like they think that the whole world should unify, and we do try and unify, but I think they want us to legit live the same way, and I don't think that that's a possible outcome.
Well, another thing to note is that when he's talking about that he's going to start waking people up and unplugging them, but it makes you kind of think of actually the economic of it, because the world is like a waste, barren land, and so like if you start unplugging all these people, how do you even have resources to look after these people?
Right.
Like, do you unplug where you overwrite the machines, where the machines, you can use the machines to kind of aid, because like they're being cared for in this kind of like nursery, almost this farm nursery. That's what it is. But if you unplug them and take them out and destroy and abolish, like you start thinking, what was Zion's at this point? Really, what did they think they were going to accomplish? Because, okay, you free everybody, but are they free? Because that comes down to what we're talking about.
Well, how are you gonna house all those people in Zion? Like,
well, exactly. Like, there's only so much room, but
right.
You're looking at bigger issues that
you're going down a darker tunnel.
So, if you want it, you can kind of think about it. In that world, aren't the people kind of better off to be plugged into the Matrix?
That's a question you need to ask.
Like
yourself.
that's when it comes into like morality and determinism and all that. That when you're thinking about it, like this goes back to Cypher's portrayal in his motivations. He kind of surmised that, you know what, I'm better off being in. Yeah, I know it's not reality. Like he even says, man, that steak looks so good in that moment. It makes me want to eat steak. Yeah. But anyways, he's like, I know this is not real. I know when I put this in my mouth that. And my mind is telling me and all this that I don't even know what it actually steak would taste like.
Yeah.
Like how, but I don't care. And it's like ignorance is bliss. So it comes down to it, like why people even in our life and what's in front of us, so many people are ignorant. Like just look at certain like news media events with certain people that are on trial are when the facts are out there. I had a conversation with someone. It wasn't that we were disagreeing, but their information on that court case that we're talking about, was actually they were missing some pieces because they're like, well, so is it their ignorance or am I wrong? Like you don't know. So you're wondering back to the people in the Matrix. They might be better off there, according to this world, because that'll be interesting when we get into the new movie. Because you don't really see an approve upon at the end of Revolutions. Like I didn't see it as like a great happy ending.
Right.
Like it was a weird ending. But on that case, before we kind of head down there, I think this is all I have to really say about the Matrix. I'm just gonna like highlight the music. I think the score by Don Davis is a pretty rad score. So many like musical cues in there. When you hear them, it's from the Matrix.
Yep.
It's quite iconic. And actually, Don Davis, for other people's interest, he went on to actually take over scoring the Jurassic Park series, and I'm sure he's done a bunch of other stuff. And I was telling you, leading up to talking about this commentary, I was listening to the soundtrack of The Matrix, and it's quite good because you got Rammstein, you got the Deftones, Rob Zombie, that kind of mixed version of Dragula. I think that's my favorite, better than his original version. You got Rage Against the Machine, which it kind of encapsulates the whole movie. Wake Up. That's great. And Marilyn Manson, and we got Deftones on here. So I thought all these songs, listening to this, fits really well, blends in with the cyberpunk style. The movie score blends really well with these punk songs. I thought everything blended good. There's something about these soundtracks back in those days that you don't see today.
No.
And I've kind of mentioned this with the Pump Up the Volume Round Table and a little bit with the Goonies.
Yep.
So it's good to kind of see this trend.
Yeah.
So that's all I gotta say about the first Matrix. It's an awesome movie.
Yep.
Okay, so on rating system, how many red pills would you take?
This one is a really easy one for me. It's definitely like 9 pills out of 10.
Yeah.
Like it's, in my eyes, there is no such thing as a perfect, well, maybe there's a perfect film out there. Maybe we'll discuss it one day. But I won't say it right now. But I think it falls into our genre. But this one, I will give it a 9 red pills out of 10.
You'd be surprised at actually what movie I think is a perfect movie.
Well, we may think the same one.
No.
Maybe not.
It's not fantasy or sci-fi.
Neither is mine.
Oh man, we'll be talking. Oh boy. Okay,
stay tuned.
So I will give it probably 9 red pills.
Like this is a really kick-ass film.
Yeah, and especially watching it now, how well it holds up. There's only a few like visual effects, like when Trinity is jumping in the opening scene when she's jumping out of the window into the stairwell there. You can kind of see that it just doesn't quite fit with, you could tell this blue screen.
Right.
And then there's in the helicopter where Neo catches Morpheus, but other than that, the visual effects hold up good. Obviously, the martial arts, the action,
the bullet time thing, that's great.
Still great. The top of it all is the story and the inventiveness of these. This is their second movie, the Wachowskis.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah, so
not
bad. And it's kind of unfortunate that they peaked so early with this one film, because since they've done The Matrix, you haven't really. Okay, they did Speed Racer, they did Cloud of Atlantis, and they did Jupiter Ascending, but outside of that, they haven't really kind of recaptured that. And it's probably, it's hard, eh?
Yeah.
But they're so talented, like these siblings.
Yep.
Like, I'm always, when I hear their name attached to it, I always get excited still.
Oh, yeah, their minds are amazing.
Yeah, just great. So, Matrix Reloaded and Revolutions, I don't know, like, we will probably at some point discuss these individually.
Yeah, we should.
But those movies kind of further the story. I didn't mind Reloaded. You and I have talked about this. I was pretty lukewarm with Revolutions. But I'm very excited to go back and watch these.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll have a new perspective. Because I kind of felt like the hype for Reloaded was so much there. And I think the expectations for it And
sequels can never outdo their predecessors, that's for sure.
And part of my problem was I thought it got a little bit over convoluted with its philosophical and all those aspects that in this one, the original one, it doesn't weigh it down. Where that one, it kind of, there's great stuff. Don't get me wrong, and maybe when I watch it again, I won't. But I thought it was a little bit bloaty. And then Revolutions, I don't know. That one was a tough one for me, but I think I'm hoping to have a different perspective.
One could make an argument that Revolutions should maybe be the first one. You know, like not the whole story, but like a part of the world building should have been in the beginning.
Well, what's your take on you? Because you watch these a couple times a year and stuff.
Like what I think is Zion. If you want to build the world of Zion. Here, look at it. I'm taking your speech.
It's late and we've been talking for a long time. So we're and we've had some eggnog.
Maybe a few.
Maybe more than we probably should have.
Yeah. But yeah, I think the world building of Zion would have been better suited for in the beginning. Now, I mean, obviously, I don't want to take away what a great film The Matrix is, but if you want to build a world, maybe you want to put it in the beginning. But then there's the other side where maybe if the story of the third one wasn't as great, maybe you want to give someone like what we got, The Matrix, and have people begging for more, and then do your world building more. You know what I mean? Well,
yeah, it's kind of weird having movies when you split them up into like trilogies or you shoot them back to back. It's I don't want to compare the Matrix movies to like The Force Awakens and Last Jedi, because that's like comparing horse manure to ice cream.
Yeah. Well, let's do like the Phantom Menace trilogy, like that trilogy, like the prequels.
Well, they were because obviously they had they had the time jump, and the stories took place over years with that, and that's part of the problem with, say, Force Awakens and Last Jedi, is they both are, it's basically one big movie.
Yeah.
But the problem with those movies is that they don't feel like two movies connected. Now, with The Matrix, I personally thought Revolutions could have used a little bit of a time jump into the future when we could catch back up to it. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, again, when I watch it again, I might have a different opinion, and I might have a different feel and different appreciation, because I haven't watched these movies in quite a few years.
Yeah.
It's been a long time. And so I think I'm going to probably have a better kind of appreciation.
Yeah.
But I felt like I'm more interested in the movies when they were in the Matrix with Agent Smith, when they were fighting the machines in the war, and we had to worry about the Zion military.
Yeah, I know. I understand.
I felt that
it did take away a little bit. Yeah,
and they spent all this time on that kind of young kid in it, and I just it took take me back to Neo and Trinity and Morpheus, and also kind of got to give him a break. I felt like this first movie built up Zion so much, so in your mind. Sometimes you conceptualize what it's going to be in that. So then when we saw it in the film, it wasn't what I kind of envisioned. But that's okay. I'm not the one writing the story. It's the Wachowski's vision. I mean, there's worse. And they're not bad.
No, they're not terrible.
They're good.
No,
they're good.
Yeah, they're doable.
I felt... And the things you saw after Reloaded, the reception for Revolutions... I don't know if that's because it was right after... Because the same thing kind of happened with Back to the Future 3. It was probably the least financial successful, and it was right after Back to the Future 2.
Yeah, it was a to be continued.
To be continued, which is fine. I think they had a little more of a buffer where Reloaded came out in June 2003 and Revolutions came out November 2003. They probably could have used a little bit of more time before they released it, because you had that, and then there was mixed kind of buzz with Reloaded. Some people liked it, some of it was a little bit polarizing. And then that went into Revolutions, because you saw that with the box office.
Right.
And then I felt the Matrix kind of lost a little bit of its, after it was done, its kind of spark. It's not Avatar.
Yeah.
Where I don't think nobody gives a shit.
Well, we're going to get 5 more.
We're going to get 5 more. Starting 2000, what, 24?
Because apparently we need them.
Yeah. So, and like, I'm one of the, I don't know, now when you talk to people, I always hear people, they hate it. They think it's bad. I liked it.
Yeah, that was decent.
I'm not saying it's the best movie, but I enjoyed it.
No, it was decent.
But again,
it's Ferngully, but it's decent.
I'm a Titanic apologist, so...
Yeah, I mean, I watched Titanic in the theater when my wife was pregnant with my first, and that was not a fun experience for her. Like 3 hours in a chair and fully pregnant. It was pretty brutal, but yeah, like, I mean, I'll give it, like, the effects of the ship sinking were great and all that, but the whole love story was kind of, lame.
Oh, it was lame and hokey.
Hokey, yeah, it was, yeah.
But I think their charisma, Leo's and Kate Winslet, kind of makes it forgiving.
Well, I'll forgive it for that one scene with Kate while she's getting...
Oh! Hey, man, he was a professional.
Hey, I don't care.
Holy jeez. Well, hey, man, you're ready to have a baby going to it, so...
That's right.
Hey,
that's right.
I guess, Yeah.
Yeah.
But, other than that, so, getting into... It's been almost 20 years since the last
18.
Matrix movie.
Yep.
Well, almost.
Good enough. Sorry. I have to be exact.
Yeah,
18 years.
20. So almost 20. That's why you say almost.
I don't like almost. Okay. Nothing is
so
absolute.
It's 18 years.
Yeah.
Since the last Matrix movie. We got a new one. Kind of just came out of nowhere. So you and I kind of spoke about the trailer. It has me kind of hooked. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm hooked.
I like what I'm seeing. I know we're talking about some reservations about it, and we were talking about subverting expectations. I think why I'm open to this, I don't know, maybe you can maybe touch upon this. If it was like a different filmmaker taking The Matrix and writing it, kind of like what Lucasfilm, like or say JJ and Rian Johnson, adding their stuff, but it is by one of the Wachowski's siblings, Lana.
Yes.
And I'm sure the other sibling, the sister, will be working in some type of tandem with this. So I like to think, because they're the creators of it, they shepherded it, they wrote the story, it's going to make some sense, as opposed to someone else comes in and puts their spin on it.
Yeah, I trust them over anything else.
I kind of trust that their sensibilities are going to be kind of right, and the franchise will need some type of new kind of punch to it, especially if they're going to try to reopen it.
Well, Resurrection, right? So it sounds like they want to try and reboot this franchise, maybe make another few films out of it if it's successful enough. I'm open to that. I mean, obviously, we're always going to be true to the original trilogy. I think it's just going to be far more superior in our eyes. I'm guessing, but I'm not going to say like I'm going to hate this going in. I'm going to watch it and I'm going to try and appreciate it. And if it needs critiquing, I'll critique it. So. Yeah.
Well, we're hoping in the realm of like the other movies.
Yeah.
Because I hope it doesn't go kind of like the Pirates route, where the first one's obviously the best and nothing can compare to it. But I personally have enjoyed Dead Man's Chest and At World's End, because I thought it was by the same filmmaker, same crew. But then when you got to Stranger Tides, it felt a little bit different. Yes, it had Johnny Depp and it had like all the same actors and then the same certain themes, but it felt kind of dislocated from the other three. And then you put in the Dead Men Tell No Tales. Again, that one felt it was missing something. So I'm hoping this will be at least okay. I'm hoping the Wachowskis or Lana will kind of have the tendency and pay homage to what they did, and I think they would.
Yeah.
It's like the Dave Filoni, and the George Lucas and the Jon Favreau. You think that they would know that the people that love this and stuff, stay true to the characters. So I'm really hoping that's still captured. And it almost feels like the Trinity and Neo, they're almost like the Force Dyad crew, where it's like, I get a vibe that because she's connected to him, that she's going to have like almost like the one abilities. So there'll be like a dyad in the Force.
Remember.
So,
yeah.
But there's lots to hopefully unpack. I've only seen one trailer. I think that's all I need to see.
Yep.
What do you think?
Yeah, I'm excited. Like I'm a little bit excited.
Okay, but story wise, because you watch these every year, so this one.
Well, my guess is they're rebooting the franchise, like they're rebooting the Matrix again. We're gonna get a 7th rendition of the Matrix.
You think so? It's the 7th version.
Yeah,
of Neo?
I think it's gonna be the 7th version of Neo and Trinity and everybody else.
But it looks like it's the same Neo because the way his plugins are. That's why I think it's they replugged him back into the Matrix.
We don't. Well, see, we're going to be talking about revolutions here, because now you need to find out, like, did he die? Like, is he completely dead in the real world?
Well, we don't 100% know that he's dead. Like, it appeared that he was.
So we don't know. We don't know if this is really him in the Matrix or like I don't know. I'm confused, kind of.
Well,
I don't know.
I can kind of understand why Neo would survive. Trinity is the one that, okay, how did she survive? Because it was pretty clear in Revolutions.
It looked pretty clear that she
was
done.
I guess you could suspect that. Remember when in the Reloaded, when he restarts her heart, he kind of basically starts with his hand. So
yeah.
Is that where we're talking about the Force dyad and the connection? Is it possible that he's instilled on her?
But that was in the Matrix when he saved her.
It doesn't matter.
But when they die, they're out of the Matrix.
But if you die in the Matrix or outside the Matrix, you die in the Matrix, you die.
Unless you're Neo.
Or Trinity, because he brings her back.
But he saved her. Yeah.
Yeah, but she did die.
Yes. But
and
he saved her. Okay. That's what I'm saying. He could probably have the power to save anybody in the Matrix. But you're out of the Matrix. He dies and she dies. Who's saving them?
Well, clearly, if he survives, then why couldn't she?
Well, where we last seen her, it didn't look like she survived.
Oh, no, she looks pretty clear cut.
Yeah.
But you're saying, like, these are two people that appeared the last time we saw them. They both died.
Well, that's why I'm really interested to see how they come back in this film. I just don't know.
Like, they're coming back, but the one guy that didn't come back is Lawrence Fishburne.
Well, that we hear of. Yeah.
Well, we know.
That we hear of.
Yeah. And that's going to be kind of interesting. Like, what kind of rendition is this Morpheus, the new guy that's playing him, a younger version or a different version of him? Is it his son? Is it a program in the Matrix?
Yeah. And for those of you who are probably not going to play the Matrix Online video game, I'll let you know that Morpheus dies in the video game.
Evidently. They should retcon that.
No.
Why?
Because it's canon. So they're not going to retcon the whole video game.
They retcon all the stuff in Star Wars all the time.
Well, that's Star Wars.
Why can't they do that in the Matrix?
Why would they? Why would they want to do it if they can just resurrect anybody anyways?
Well, it was on a video game, and stuff in video games, they don't really mean anything.
Does the Clone Wars mean anything?
Yeah, but that's different.
No, not really. It's an extended universe.
No, it's not.
It's
part of no, it's not. It's part
the video games.
No, the video games have never been in Star Wars. Have never been part of the.
But the video games are canon for the Matrix franchise.
Yeah, but they can change that.
You just want to change it.
No, I want to change it because I think that's a stupid way to kill off such a character.
Well,
like
maybe
that.
they didn't realize they were going to make another film 18 years later. Sorry, but how did they know?
Yeah,
right.
That's why. But
that was that. They were going to leave it at that.
Well, I know not 18, but now that they're doing it, they could still retcon that and have them come back.
Oh, then whatever. Then you're pissing off a lot of people. But
who cares about the video games?
Who cares about gamers? You heard it here first.
All the would-be gaming people probably like, okay, we're not listening to the
exactly.
Hey, I'm sorry. I think it's a lame way of killing off a character such as him on a video game.
And I disagree.
But you get more people. It's more impactful for people.
I understand
TV
that,
and
I understand that, but you can't predict the future, and I don't think they predicted to bring Morpheus back in the film.
I'm not talking about the future, but I'm talking about now. You can
still retcon
it.
Don't go retcon.
They're bringing back Neo and Trinity. You got no problem with that. But then bringing back Morpheus.
We'll see. Maybe they will bring him back anyways. Who knows?
I want to say,
don't take away that lore. That's all. Yeah.
Why?
Because
who really remembers that? How many? I don't know many people that played the online.
Well, neither do I. But maybe a lot of people. I did not.
Well, then why do you care?
I'm advocating for the gamers. Okay.
Okay. Well, we're not going to get anywhere with this topic.
Right. Yeah.
And that's okay. We can respectfully disagree
That's
with one
right.
another.
Now we're gonna kill each other.
Yeah. So I'm gonna burn your house down. Okay, so yeah, Matrix Resurrection's coming out here, and
We'll be there.
yeah, we'll probably be there.
We'll be there.
So yeah, and we'll probably one day do Reloaded in Revolutions, hopefully.
One day we will.
One
Yeah,
day.
in the near future.
And then it could
Probably in 2022, more or less.
2020
More like,
or 2023.
yeah, yeah,
But
maybe.
realistically.
Yeah.
Okay, so that about wraps up our Matrix Roundtable. You can find us on Spotify, Podbean, Google Podcasts,
Audible,
Amazon Music, and YouTube.
and you can get a hold of us on Twitter if you have any questions and you want to interact with us. Then get a hold of us on Twitter at Turk and Raz.
Yeah, Turk and Raz.
Yep. Thanks for listening.
Talk to you again.
See ya.
Still